spelled invincible wrong.
All right.
Invincible.
Invincible.
Oh, God.
That'll be a perfect start for this show.
Invincible.
Hello, everybody.
Star Trek, Marvel, and Netflix drama. All of this and more tonight on the Real SuperGeeks.
Hang on your capes.
Of the Real SuperGeeks podcast. My name is Carlos Pedraza. And welcome. It is Friday, April 23rd, 2021, and you are with the Real SuperGeeks on our weekly podcast. And as Ross noted, we've got a lot of news from a lot of different quarters this week, which we will be diving into as soon as we hear from my fellow hosts about how they are surviving the beginning of year 2 of our pandemic quarantine and lockups. So we're going to start this week by finding out how Raul the Baul is doing over yonder in Arizona.
I am doing fine.
You got yourself a snazzy new haircut there, Raul.
I did. I call it the Romulus. I have no idea what it's pretty much Star Trek inspired. Let's leave it at that.
I don't know. You look more like Terrax from Galactus's Herald.
That's true. Now that I think about it, yeah, it's quite good.
Thank you. So, speaking of Galactus, let's find out how our newest host, Raina, is doing. I really don't know why I compared you to Galactus, but...
Carlos, what did you do?
He's saying your ass is huge, Raina.
Uncool. No, I had a weird week. It started out pretty bad, and then it slowly, gradually improved. I've been off more than I could chew, though. I started 3 shows at one time, so that's always
wow. I'm almost there. I did 2 this week, and moving. Hey, Raina, where are you in the world, by the way?
Texas. Yeah.
Oh yeah. What?
Please say you're in Austin.
No, I'm in Central Texas, more towards Killeen. So.
Oh wow. Okay.
Outskirts of Killeen and Fort Hood. Biggest military base in the world. That's the only globe that we have down here.
Well, one of the big student loan processing companies is also based in Killeen, Texas. I know because I got bills from them for years.
You're welcome.
He's not bitter at all.
And let's hop over to another state in the West, the state of Utah, and find out how our ever-loving Ensign Beard Fosse, a.k.a. Jason Kovalik, is doing this week. Sir!
I'm doing well. I missed you all last week, but I won $20 in Vegas.
Wow, 20 whole bucks.
And how many did you lose?
Book the cruise.
Oh no, I was up $20. 2.5 hours at the blackjack table. I walked away with $120.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Usually the house takes you after 2 hours. The house just eats you.
What were you playing?
Blackjack.
Oh yeah. Well, that's your second best odds. So,
yep.
Do you know what the first best odds are?
Walking away.
Not playing.
No. Assuming you're playing.
I would say craps.
Craps is number 1. Yeah. Yes.
But I have no idea how to play craps.
Well, they will help you actually.
Yeah, I'm sure they will.
No, they do. I left with $120 last time I went there because I played dumb and had them do everything for me. It was great.
I don't need to learn how to play craps. I just go to the bathroom.
That's Joe.
That is Joe. Okay, well, let's find out next how our ever-loving contrarian, Sun Seal, is doing way over yonder in Arkansas.
Hello.
So,
I got my second shot this week.
Yay!
I don't know what the hell you people are talking about being sore and laid up and sleeping all the time, and I don't know. I've been fine.
Oh, that's great.
Lucky you.
Which
Yeah.
one? Which one? Pfizer?
Moderna.
Oh! I get my second Moderna tomorrow. So
So yeah,
Congratulations.
hopefully I will
I-
be just like you.
yeah. But see, then
And
again, I'm built structurally different. I'm one of those people that doesn't get the normal flu vaccine and has the flu only like once every 7 years. So
Okay.
yeah, I have the Ponfara flu.
I got
Well,
mine.
good.
I got mine Wednesday. My second one. They
Making
did.
noises like that.
So
All right.
uh,
Well, yeah.
I decided to take a swim in the infinite void, and then
I was
found,
just going to ask where you are, and look, where are
I-
you?
I was going to take a swim in the infinite void, and in the infinite void, I found a ship just crashing over and over again. I feel like I'm near a black hole or something because this stuff is on repeat behind me.
It's time dilation happening.
Is
in
it
front of your face.
is that Quantum Break?
No, this is Warframe.
Oh, I've never heard of that.
Warcraft?
Warframe.
And
Dramatically
That's like a
different.
different genre there, Carlos.
Okay.
Tell Grandpa that we're doing something.
Get off my lawn,
Get off
Baul.
my lawn, kids.
look, Carlos, you're gonna have to get schooled on some of these games now. I mean, you know,
Oh well, I'm happy getting schooled by Lane in anything. So
If anything, just to understand the cultural relevance.
yes.
You don't have
okay,
to get into
no,
it.
I'm okay with that. Understanding.
Carlos
cultural
wouldn't even watch Joe Exotic.
No, I
for
watched the
reference.
first episode.
I haven't watched
because-
Joe Exotic.
because Joe Diaz is taking me to a steak dinner in San Diego next time I'm down there, which will be soon, Joe, because I'm getting my second shot tomorrow.
Save up the money.
Oh, it's saved. It's saved.
I mean,
I'm hitting the road as soon as I can.
I got that little card, and my mom's like, "Here, keep this with you." And I go, "Why?" So in case we like go somewhere, and I'm like, I don't go anywhere. I mean, I haven't been out of the state since we like moved back here. Where the hell am I gonna go?
Hey, you've got all of America.
I know, and I don't have a driver's license either. So there.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. You can do it without a driver's license. All right. Well, in the meantime, let's find out how our stalwart producer Justin Burton is doing this week. Justin,
Doing pretty good. A little bit tired tonight. I'll probably be off camera because I'm exhausted.
I understand.
Yeah.
So,
So,
I want to lodge my complaint with the authorities about your use of what's his name, Spock's brother, as your avatar this week.
That's Cybok.
Cybok, him.
We're gonna have to take away your
nerd
Trekkie card.
I'm
yeah,
going to,
you're grounded.
I'm going to
Hey,
guess.
he got
though,
Spock's
Pase.
brother. He gets credit for that.
That's right.
That's
No,
not relevant, Justin.
no. He only gets half credit for that because it's half
Yeah.
brother.
True.
He just has credit.
What does God need with a starship?
That is the biggest question of the universe. Well, at least the galaxy.
I'm just gonna say this since we're talking about the Final Frontier. It is the most Toss-like of all the original series movies.
It's true.
And it's a guilty pleasure.
And it fit.
It is.
I
It
will
isn't.
give this to
actually.
Mine is
Final
the
Frontier.
77 deck
So,
sending rocket boots on the.
I will give this to the Final Frontier. It handled character development like not quite like any other Star Trek movie out there in a good way. It did some really good character moments.
Mine is the
Well,
77 deck.
of the main cast,
But
but
we maligned it too, but it has its moments.
that whole
Hey.
planet of galactic peace was dumb.
Hey, you know what?
Um,
They gave us the best Klingon power couple until DS9, so I'm happy with that.
And we got the Dance on the Sand.
That is the second worst aspect of it.
Actually, you know what? The Galactic Peace Planet makes a lot of sense. For all the joking you hear about sending Russians to Siberia as a promotion, quote unquote, that's essentially what the Planet of Eternal Peace sounds like for the three factions.
No, it definitely was. It definitely was.
Or the International Space Station.
No. That's legit. That's legit. That's not a place where you.
There will be 11 astronauts on that thing for the first time tomorrow.
Oh wow, that's
Being
right.
launched
the
by
SpaceX-
space-
I'm
Yeah.
thinking sleepover.
I still
I
think
like-
Cybox is Cylon.
That makes total sense to me. In the meantime, let's find out how the man behind those mellifluent sounds that greet us at the beginning of every podcast. We know him as the Eyebrows of Doom, but in the real world, his name is Ross Bullock. Ross, how are you this week?
I'm good. The job hunt has begun in earnest. I spent the week making versions of resumes, sending out applications, just trying to put my new college degree or what's remains of my college degree to use, and start a brand new career after 5 years of wandering and meandering. So
all right,
times.
let's do some shameless promotion for you for a second here, Ross. What kind of job are you looking for, in case anyone in our millions of viewers is looking for someone with your experience?
Millions. Let's see. 12
Millions of viewers.
I have 12 years of experience doing preventative and corrective maintenance on U.S. Navy warships, both submarines and surface ships, both as a maintenance person and as a maintenance supervisor. And I am in college right now in electromechanical technology for industrial maintenance and electromechanical machines.
That just gave me shivers.
All that
Excellent.
technobabble.
Employers
sexy.
for a job.
Yeah,
What's that?
he's looking for a job.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're helping them out. All right, and last but not least, I saved them for last because they're definitely not least, and that is Travis and Lane. How are the two of you doing this week?
It's been a weird week. Because in some areas, I was absolutely on top of the world. And on other areas, I just wanted to die inside or something.
That sounds like Tuesday for me.
Ironically, it was Wednesday that I wanted to die inside. But Tuesday, I was on top of the world. But
Well, there you go.
One of, I am very much looking into potentially seeing a psychiatrist and seeing if I might potentially be on the spectrum.
Ooh, that would be so cool.
It wouldn't surprise me. Ironically enough, it was just kind of mentioned in passing after I was talking about how very sensitive I was getting to loud noise at work.
Mm-hmm.
And it just kind of stuck around, and I downloaded this ebook from Additude, additude.com. And I just kind of did a little reading, and I was just like, dear God, these things that they say, here's the signs to look for. I'm on, there's half the things here. Just but yeah. So yeah, that might be a thing. We'll see what comes from that. But I had a nice talk with my therapist about it, and
well, go for it, man. The better you can figure out how your brain works, the happier you'll be.
Yeah.
Travis on the spectrum? I wonder what color he is.
That's always
I think
He's blue.
Would Lane also?
He's
a lovely chartreuse. Well, that I think covers our round robin here. So how about we head into our topics for this week? And I rejiggered the order
Trello.
a little bit. Yes, on Trello, because I realized we should go with what might be sort of the biggest story, which came out just today. And that was the announcement, now that we've reached the end of the season of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, that they are, in fact, put up the spoiler alert, Stalwart Justin.
Red alert.
Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert.
All right. So now that we know that that Sam, the Falcon, is now the new Captain America, Marvel is planning on a fourth Captain America movie, of course, starring the latest Captain America, Sam Wilson, with his pal, Bucky, the Winter Soldier. And we also saw the end of the season in what I think was a slam bang of an episode.
That kicked ass.
Yeah, so let's find out what we thought about that. Were there any surprises, Ross?
I don't know about surprises. The revelation about Sharon Carter, I know I at least called it.
You did.
That she's the power broker. I wanted to say it on air last week, but my freaking internet connection, being the little bitch that it was.
Luckily, it's treating you better tonight.
Yes, significantly better. So,
okay.
I can't say there were any surprises, but probably the biggest standout moment for me was when John Walker showed up in the middle of the fight with his great value shield.
Oh, that's
Amazon Essential Shield.
It looks good.
The way
And it did. I'll give him credit. It did stand up to a lot of punishment, but it definitely looked like it got beat the crap out of. But when in the middle of the fight, when they were pushing the truck over the side of the construction scaffolding, and John was looking at it and looking at the girl, and I was sitting there in my chair gripping this. Be a hero, John. God damn it, be a hero. Please choose to be a hero. And he did, and I was so relieved that in such a short episode we got at least a little bit of redemption for the guy, and I was so happy for that.
Did that work for anybody else?
Well,
I like that.
I mean,
Raul first, then you, Justin.
The problem with that is that he, at the end, you see him to premiere as the U.S. agent, and anybody that's familiar with the U.S. agent in the comic books knows that he was used for ill means. So he has trying times ahead, at least, and especially mixed up by what we can only imagine is Madame Hydra.
Or yes, but I love that Julia Louis-Dreyfus is playing her. That's like the perfect actress for that.
Oh, and did you hear, as a little side note, that Russell Crowe has been announced as Zeus in the next Thor movie?
Shut up!
No,
I actually did hear that.
I did not hear that, and I even scanned the wires before we got on the air.
Speaking of Julie Louis-Dreyfus,
I knew that.
Do you guys know what Julie Louis-Dreyfus's other connection to the Marvel Cinematic Universe is?
What's that?
She was on a sitcom called The New Adventures of Old Christine.
Yes, I love that show.
That's a hilarious show.
In which her ex-husband was played by Clark Gregg, otherwise known as
Agent Coulson. Indeed.
Yeah, it was a great show. Sadly, canceled before its time.
True, but it was on for more seasons than I expected a show like that to be on the air.
You know, she has an estranged relationship with her father, who is this reclusive billionaire, and she's never asked for a dime of help from him, and she's made it in Hollywood as far as she has on her own.
Well, I did not know that.
Yes,
well,
true.
Good for her. She is amazing. She's amazing.
Well,
if
she's
folks
got
at home
Seinfeld as a backbone there, so.
Oh yeah.
But her character though really reminds me of Selena Meyer. Her entire character seems just like she's from Veep.
I'm very interested to see where that character goes as the MCU moves forward, because there's definitely a sinister nature to her that we don't even have a glimpse of yet.
You know, one of the things I want to get you guys' opinions on as well is this move that I'm detecting. Well, it's definitely evident, and we've talked about it a little bit before on the show, but I'm wondering if you foresee this happening as in especially the Marvel features as we move forward into the next phase. The antagonists being like not purely evil, like there's things about them that you like.
You mean they're not cardboard, Carlos?
They're not cardboard, but but more than that, they're like the characters. I mean, they're like they're interesting. Zemo. Yeah, and you know,
Zemo got the last laugh.
Can we just talk about
Yes, we
that
did.
before we move on? Like,
Oh,
God, that power play by Zemo was fantastic.
That
It
was a
so
surprise.
fitting. It was so fitting, though, for him. Like, him having the last laugh. That's such a Zemo move.
Well,
He's
not
not-
only
it's not
that,
like he didn't tell them.
He's
not only that,
done
it was
yet.
a fake out.
Yeah.
And everything building up to that scene as they were being escorted out, you're thinking something's about to go down, but I don't know what it is. And then the second class that was leading him in, Navy guy, that hurt me.
Yeah, I
Oh,
noticed that.
leaned
Although
in,
I
says,
love the
"One
way
world."
he's
One world, one people. And you think, oh shit, he's about to break them out. And then boom.
Boom.
And that's what I thought too. I was like, oh, there's about to be a heist. A few minutes later, you see it blow up, and then you can't
Sam
open because
came
Zemo's butler just sitting there with a detonator.
Asked in this episode that it was kind of impressive.
Oh,
I was like, the fight scenes were just on point with him. Like him going one-on-one with that one guy, I can never remember his name.
Crossbones.
Jesus, man, he like really gave him a run for his money. Watching him work with the shield was one of the most coolest things to see, like right off the bat.
Yeah, because frankly,
I'd like to say before we move off of Zemo,
Yeah.
Zemo in the comics has a further career when he's sent to the shoe. He will emerge again. I promise you. His popularity
for sure.
is high,
Well,
and
isn't-
he has a future. The Thunderbolts, Ross, if you remember them.
Yeah. Wasn't he possessed by Red Skull at one point?
Yes, he was. We're not done with Zemo. We're not done with
Oh,
Zemo.
hell no.
yeah, for
Zemo's
sure.
going to be around for years because they know a winner when they see one.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They created a winner, and they cast a great actor for that role.
And
That
Dan
actor-
Green has made him iconic.
But I'll say that the best thing about the episode wasn't the fight scenes, wasn't the revelations, it wasn't even Zemo. It was Sam reacting to the GDC guy.
Yep, I think so too.
That monologue was outstanding. It was worth the entire series.
Yeah, that
Oh,
was a
yeah.
good-
It was building
was
to
a
that
good
point.
monologue.
Actually, what's funny is me and my friend were actually having a discussion about this after that. Even if the rest of the episode had been bad, that monologue alone would have carried it.
Yeah. You know, the interesting thing to me was, as I was watching it, was like, there is no other Marvel superhero who could have pulled that off
Yeah.
Oh,
Freaking.
without it sounding like even Steve Rogers couldn't have done that.
Yeah. I mean,
And Steve really wasn't one for speeches either.
True.
Go ahead, Travis.
He was a man of action.
Go ahead, Travis.
I think the one line that really stuck out the most from that monologue was that Sam said that he knew that that there would be a lot of people who would hate him for carrying that shield. And as soon as he said that, like, I don't know how to describe the feeling that I felt. It was very much like I just want to grab that line and I just want to throw it at so many people right now and just walk away. I don't know if that makes any sense whatsoever.
But the thing about Sam is that he's a type of character who rises above his adversity. And that's what makes him really strong. Steve Rogers was an amazing man because of his moral ethics. Sam is an amazing man because he can rise above the current circumstances and see a bigger picture.
You
I
realize,
find
though,
that's why he convinced Isaiah at the end. He got him. He got him, and I was so happy.
Almost.
Don't get me started on him and Isaiah. I
Oh.
cried. I
So did I.
cried.
I
So
did too.
did I.
Cried.
Can I say that, man, that's the biggest insult to them politicians when he compared them to Thanos.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing
Yeah.
exactly the same thing he did, just slightly different.
And
Like to
Oh.
put them on
Oh.
his level, like
Best line of that entire monologue. Who is in the room with you when you're making those decisions? The people who are being affected by it, or more people like you? That is something that also needs to get shoved in the faces of so many people.
You know, one of the things I loved about that monologue was that and you could see it in the faces of the GDC people, was he literally earned their respect. I mean, he saved their lives, for Christ's sake.
Right.
You know, in a way that was still sort of, it wasn't just like, oh, I'm saving, you know, poor victims, but like affirmed their own agency. I mean, like the one woman who he got to pilot the copter after he got rid of the Flag Smasher pilot. You know, there was one shot of her looking at him and just really being convinced, that I thought was a great moment for her. And you could see it in the faces of a lot of the other people there who really understood that, you know, this guy should be allowed to say what he's saying, and we should listen to him because, you know, he literally put his life on the line for us, like just, you know, minutes before.
Right.
Justin, you were going to say something a little bit earlier.
Was I don't remember what was it. I'm already covered.
Okay, if you think of it, let me know, and I'll make sure you get priority. Okay. Anybody else surprised by anything that you saw, or something that really affected you? Obviously, the monologue was one of them. The scenes with Isaiah was one of them. Anything else?
The reveal.
Let's start with Sun.
Okay, so I've still not watched a single episode, but I suddenly saw like a bunch of tweets by someone I never expected to watch this series start tweeting about it. And I have to ask this question: is when I guess he puts on the Captain America suit for his Falcon suit at some point in this episode?
When you see him, he already has it on, but it's a reveal. It's a reveal.
Because this person that I never expected to tweet anything about this show, he says, "I'm loving it. The Antifa people are begging Falcon not to buy into the nationalist bullshit, but he decides to wear the American flag instead, even after he's told by a black super soldier that no self-respecting black man would be Captain America." Is that something that actually happened?
Yeah. I mean, yes. Isaiah said that to him in last episode.
That's one way of interpreting it. Yeah.
Well, I think there is that element that, you know, the Flag Smashers really kind of represent, you know, the ultra left, the militant ultra left.
I agree with that.
And you have, you know, the racial tensions of Isaiah definitely come into play here. That's one of the things I really liked about the episode, is that really Sam believes in what's her name's Morgenthau's kind of
well, he believes in her motivations,
right?
You
he
know?
believes in her motivations,
yeah,
but he disagrees with her methods,
sure.
And it very much is a very centrist take on the way we should proceed going forward, right? It's you know, you have to give people the space to learn. You can't bring about the change that needs to be brought about, or in this case, stop the change that's being brought about through violence. It has to be done through compassion and reason and articulation, because violence is just going to beget violence. You know, you have Morgenthau, and then you have the inverse of that with Russell, and all you have when those two come to heads is pain and suffering. And it isn't until you have someone who's able to demonstrate morals and values that can stand up and speak to the people who are, you know, the oligarchy, and say you need to consider everybody, that you actually get that. And that was really kind of the message I took away. That, you know, there's still more that unites us than divides us, and we should stop yelling at each other, and we should come together and really get in the room together to find solutions, and not just blame or belittle the other.
Come on, people now.
You know what, Carlos? I was thinking this actually goes with the topic that we talked about last week that we kind of thought was irrelevant. The whole WandaVision when it came out versus Falcon and the Winter Soldier. If you think about it, that episode today probably had more impact than it would have. Like, don't get me wrong, it still would have been impactful, but at this moment, it's so important right now of an episode, I think, and current events right now. I think that it is so important, that episode. And I think that it only adds more to it for it compared to if WandaVision had been going still now compared to then. I think that it kind of changes the game a little bit.
Well, it puts us on a different track, right? I mean, because this is now going to lead into something like it, and it feels like it is. I mean, WandaVision does too, but that's more sort of like fantastical, dark hole, chaos, magic, blah blah blah. That isn't real. But this was about real stuff, real issues, and
that's what I'm saying. Like now,
no, and that's what I'm totally agreeing with you.
It's perfect for the time that it's out now, because right now, considering how Division is right at this moment, especially, I think that it just works so well for what they were trying to say.
But isn't that always kind of been the way the Captain America movies were compared to other the Captain America movies were always a lot more grounded in terms of real world issues compared to like Iron Man or like a Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, well, I mean, the principles that Captain America, as Steve Rogers stood for, was always a big part of his motivations. So it's a theme that you see repeated in very different circumstances in each movie, but it's very much at the core of why and how to make him a relevant character in the 21st century, for sure.
Well, each one of those characters plays an actual realistic role in today's society, especially. It's rooted in what they represent and what they're fighting for, and I think that it parallels so good. That's one thing that every one of the Captain America movies, I will argue, is the best, because you can feel what people are fighting for. You can understand it. You may not agree with the way they're going about it, but you understand why they're fighting and what they're fighting for. And I think that the Captain America products do best when they do that, because every one of them, Civil War, Winter Soldier, and even the first one, you understand what everyone's fighting for.
Yeah, well, and you understand why he was such a unique individual in getting that super serum, and was probably the best suited person for getting that. All right, other thoughts, Ross?
This is why it stands that the Captain America character, for me, is the strongest character ever created by comics people. So I'll stand by that 100%. DC, Marvel, the Captain America identity is something bigger than all the rest of them put together.
Well, that's one thing that this show did very well, was showing how changing who wears the mask, who carries the shield, makes a difference. It's not just the name that gives the individual power and ability,
it's not just the serum. Yeah, it's
not just the serum. It's the quality of the individual, the strength of their convictions, the strength of their ideals that makes a person Captain America. And we saw with John that a person can be a war hero, someone who is arguably of very high regard, carry the shield and still fail, and not necessarily be a villain in the events. He was very much just a flawed human being, just like everyone else. He wasn't evil in his failure, but he most certainly did fail in his role.
So what you're saying is this series is a much better Green Lantern movie.
Isn't everything a much better Green Lantern?
Yes, there's
my high school drama productions were so much better Green Lantern movie than Green Lantern was.
Well, but the issue that you raised that I think is really important, Ross, is that in the case of Steve Rogers and in the case of Sam Wilson, they both come from circumstances that in which they were in many ways sort of underprivileged. And it was that background that made their principles so important to them once they and allowed them to stick to them once they did get real power that did not corrupt them, because they remembered who they are and where they come from. Travis and Lane, what did you think?
I think I am very, 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 very surprised at how much I am looking forward to the next feature with Sam as Captain America. I'm actually very surprised that this show made me care to this extent, because in terms of superheroes, outside the Guardians of the Galaxy, Captain America was the character that I cared about the most. He was the character I was always rooting for. I as much of a hot take as this might be, I don't give a shit about Iron Man. I don't really care about.
Well, you don't have him to kick around anymore, Travis and
To
Lane.
be
don't
fair,
have him to
Iron Man
kick
didn't
around
give a shit
anymore.
off of Iron Man.
What's that?
To be fair, Iron Man doesn't give a shit about Iron Man.
Yeah, there you go. Like I just personally really connected with Captain America's arc more than, Playboy Tony
Doing Playboy
realizing
Tony.
that guns are bad or something. I don't know. But like after Endgame and seeing Steve Rogers on the bench, passing the torch along, one of the biggest, I was really curious as to what they would do with Sam and the Shield, but I was also thinking I don't really know how they can top this.
I felt
And
exactly the same way.
And
I did
while
not have
they're
high
not,
hopes.
and while I'm not saying that they've done that, they have given me a reason to really, really care. They are Captain America has become so much more to me after this show than just Steve Rogers. Captain America is a I don't want to say feeling because that sounds very cheesy, but it feels like I don't know how to describe it right now.
He is America's ass.
He's as much a symbol as he is a hero. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yes, that is exactly what I'm trying to say.
The thing about Captain America is that you have to view him as a paladin, but instead of a god he worships, he worships the ethics of his own background. And that devotion to your ethics and morality is something that we could all stand to use a lesson on. And it resounds in our society up and down the food chain. And I think that is why Captain America speaks to so many people.
Yeah, I think one of the things that's great about it, and again, I think something Sam and Steve Rogers had in common is that these principles, these ethics, these core beliefs are at their core. They are literally who they are. With a lot of other people, a lot of other heroes, frankly, their core is something else, and their dedication to justice or other good principles are layers on top of that core. But for these two guys, it is their core, and you can feel that for sure, I think.
I would also like to say that the biggest surprise, I'm sorry, Reno, one last little thing. The nice little touch in the episode was Bucky flirting with Sam's sister. Loved it.
That was awesome. I did too. And Sam saying, "Stop flirting with my sister."
Stop flirting with my sister.
Wasn't that last episode?
Because I was like, "There's something going on between the two."
There was.
Wasn't that last episode?
Raina, you were going to say something.
I was going to say, I think Sam really embodies what Steve had said in Infinity War. We don't trade lives. No lives are basically better than other ones worth trading. And I feel like Sam, through this whole series, took that message to heart. He felt like he could save everyone. And I mean, in a sense, he really did try. No. And I think he's perfect. Sam was always to me in the Winter Soldier, because that's my favorite Marvel movie. I will stand by that. That's on the top. But he was comic relief. It was like a buddy cop type of situation. He's always comic relief.
I never held high expectations for him.
He's so deep as a character that he's gone from the bottom of my list probably to top 3 easy in my favorites.
Robert Redford is my favorite villain in the Marvel universe. I think
He's pretty good in that, yeah.
He's so
I think
good.
he's absolutely delicious.
I thought it was great they actually brought him back for Endgame. That was cool.
Yes.
All right. Other thoughts on this episode?
I have one last thought about the series as a whole. One thing that I talk about in comics a lot is how these publishers and writers don't want to let characters go. These characters have been around for decades, some well over 50 years, when in the natural progression of these characters' lives, many would have passed on by now. And through retcons or what have you, they just keep going. So Marvel has in the past tried to carry their story forward with the all new, all different line, and they did a great job with it. And I was legitimately worried when they finally killed off Steve and Tony that are they going to pass on this mantle, or are they going to try and reinvent it to kind of keep the characters going off on their own? And I'm so glad Disney did not try and do something like that and has let Sam pick up the mantle of Captain America. And I'm excited to see what they do next, and that makes me doubly excited for Ironheart.
Indeed. Okay, here is a trivia question for you, and I call it a trivia question because they made a reference to it, and I had no idea what they were talking about. There was that one line when some guy asks Sam who he is, and Sam says he's Captain America, and he says, "I thought Captain America was on the moon." What the hell is that about? Did anyone get that?
That was they talked about that in the first episode. His buddy the Air Force buddy he has, he literally says, he asked him, they say that Captain America's on the moon, like you helped him get there. It was some kind of line like that, so it was kind of like a running joke. Nobody knows where he went, so they just assume he's on the moon.
Okay.
Oh, they did the Captain Falcon thing.
Oh yeah.
I am slightly disappointed that we didn't get one Falcon punch.
Oh, stop it.
Okay, I don't know what that is, so tell me, please.
There's a Nintendo character named Captain Falcon. He's a race car driver and bounty hunter. And one of his signature lines in Super Smash Brothers, where his character shows up, is Falcon Punch!
And he literally creates a fire falcon when he punches people.
Yes.
I am very surprised that you had to have that explained to you on the show, Carlos. Like, that is an internet meme that is everywhere.
We're talking about Carlos, Travis.
Just because it's an internet meme doesn't mean he's culturally osmosized a video game reference.
There are millions. I'm not a gamer, dude, at all.
Oh, can we say that?
It's one of Carlos's many flaws. But anyway,
I mean, Carlos is a gamer. He's just not a gamer.
Oh.
Is that like as in like merman?
Like elf. Like you're an elf.
Oh, that's the nicest thing you've ever said to me, son.
Stick around.
Okay, Carlos.
Play it.
We're educating Carlos on the air.
Oh, that's 3 minutes long. Come on.
I'm not playing the whole 3 minutes.
Oh, the jabs into the stop he's going for here. And the tech. The tech from Ian was so good to save
This is longer than some of our dates.
There it was. Okay. Yeah, none of that looked interesting to me in any way whatsoever. I was more entertained by Ross's recreation of it than I was by what I just saw. So there you go.
I think it made Jason fall asleep.
Well, again, that's because you're a gamer, not a gamer.
Can I just say that I loved how Walker took a beating like a pro?
Mm-hmm.
Like he took on 3 Flag Smashers at one time, and he actually got the upper hand in the beginning. And then when they had him on the ground, denting his Costco shield, he was like taking it like a boss. Like, I'm going to get up and I'm going to wreck.
But did you guys feel like
Costco shield?
Mm-hmm.
Costco shield.
Costco usually picks good.
I call it the Wish Shield.
I would call it the Target
great
shield.
value shield.
Okay, so great value, I think, wins this week.
That's perfect.
Okay, so here's a question though, because especially when we saw Sam Falcon, new Captain America, kicking ass in this, I mean, all through this episode, I felt like for most of the season, after the pilot, like they nerfed him. Like he was always losing fights. He didn't feel like he was super competent all the time. And, and all of a sudden he's super competent man in finally. And like these flag smashers who've been giving even John Walker and Bucky, I mean, all of them a hard time. Somehow they just miraculously were better fighters this time.
I mean, he's wearing something
it's
that's
like-
practically made of vibranium, so
It's like what Jason keeps complaining about Captain Saru.
Mm-hmm. The worst captain in Starfleet, right?
Stop.
Yeah, but I mean, think about it. He's
100%.
taking on Thanos'
Hi,
army
Silas.
now. People in Thanos' army, he's taking on now. Like, I mean, once you get to that high level, I think like a couple people with super soldier serum in their blood, you're going to work your way up to that. I mean, that's all there is to it.
I also like the fact that the flag smashers were slowly seduced into the wrong way, and most of them picked up on it. Most of them were like, "This is going too far, and this is not what we signed up for." And they went along with it because of the culture of complacency that happens in groups. But they weren't instant evil add coffee kind of people, which I enjoyed very much.
And it felt natural how it happened.
Yes.
Where they kept getting thwarted, and it was just like, all right, you know what? It doesn't even matter if we die at this point. You know that it just felt so natural. The progression of just like getting tired of like not getting their message across. Like it wasn't forced at all.
No.
At the same time, you had a supervillain who, made a phone call to her opponent. I was like, this random flag smasher comes up to Sam, and she just, "This is for you," and it's like, "Hi, Carly," on the other line.
I really appreciated that.
By the way, Carlos, this is now for you.
Falcon Punch!
Yes.
Oh, okay, that was. Like,
by the way,
that's so 10 minutes ago, Justin.
But okay, so here's something going back 5 minutes. So Justin, if you're going to say Kmart Shield, get it right. It's Blue Light Special.
Blue Light Shield.
No, Blue Light Special Shield.
I wanted to save on the typos.
Sorry, but great value still wins the day. All right, so that wraps us up for the episode and for the season of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. It sounds like we all thought it was a plus. This show.
Is it Falcon and the Winter Soldier, or is it Captain America and the Winter Soldier?
Well, I'm talking.
That's the movie.
Looking retrospectively at what we just finished watching. So, last question: if you have hot takes, keep them hot and short. There were multiple post-credits things going on. Did any of them stand out to you?
Sharon as the power broker and her using her newly found connections with the federal government to procure technologies for her
sale to bad guys.
Yeah.
That was an incredibly slow hot take.
It was more of a sort of a
It was a slow burn take.
That's about as slow as a hot take as the Razor Crest.
Oh.
I'm happy they're going to be doing more with John Walker, though. Like, I'm glad that it wasn't like they killed him or something like that. I'm so glad that they're going to use him. I honestly hope he gets his own show.
West Coast Avengers. West Coast Avengers has his name all over it.
Well, and they're setting it up. They're setting up the West Coast Avengers. We've got White
and the
Vision.
Young Avengers.
Moon Knight is coming.
Yeah, they're setting up for the West Coast Avengers for sure.
I guess.
And the Young Avengers.
I'm just glad they're using these characters, though. That they had every opportunity to kill him this episode, and they didn't.
Avengers.
We got Hawkeye's kid. We got Isaiah Bradley's kid. We're setting up Young Avengers too.
West Side.
Okay. Any other thoughts on
young Super Tots?
Yes, indeed.
Carly's FIFA kick to that shield. She went full FIFA on that shield.
Travis and Lane, you were going to say something?
I was just going to make a joke about the West Coast Avengers. There's going to be a Californian, and they're going to...
They are. That's the joke.
Yeah, like SNL skit the Californians, like, let's sit here on these whatever we call these chairs and have some avocados. I don't know.
What?
They introduced a character named Wonder Man. Wonder Man is literally like The Rock if The Rock was a superhero. So imagine that, like all California, all superstar. I hope they do introduce Wonder Man because he's easy to live.
What was his name?
about?
Simon something? Was it Simon something?
God, I forgot his name.
I was never a big fan of him, though.
What are you talking
Nobody
about?
is.
Dwayne Johnson is a superhero.
He does. He is.
All right, we're going to move on as we enter the Star Trek portion of tonight's show.
We're gonna rate our show.
Oh yeah, I guess we should rate our show. Okay, scale of 1 to 10. Let's rate the entire series, and we will start with Stalwart Justin.
2 lanes up. Yeah. 2 thumbs up.
God.
Okay, Ensign Beard Fasse.
The season started out slow for me. Episode 1, episode 2, but I think the last 3 or 4 episodes really picked up. So I'm going to have to give it 5 badges.
5 badges. Whoa!
I regret.
What do we do with all these stinking badgers?
I regret this.
You'll get your chance in a minute, Raina.
Definitely 8 out of 10. It's solid. I would go 9, but I agree. First 2 episodes really took a minute to pick up, for sure.
Okay, Baul.
9 out of 10.
All right, Travis and Lane.
I'm gonna give it a 9.
All right, and Eyebrows of Doom.
3 out of 3 Mackies.
Wow. You've gotten 3 stop-its out of Travis and
I
Lane.
know.
This is a banner episode.
Numbers and shit.
Yeah, I mean, and by the way, the 2 lanes is equal to 9 out of 10.
So
Okay.
I give a 10 out of 10 to the Real SuperGeeks.
Yes.
That
I'm
works
glad
for
that
me.
I'm glad that somebody picked up on the joke there.
You're welcome. I felt like
But you have to
the
add
only
that to it, like Ross does. It's the
one.
Real
The Real
Super-
SuperGeeks.
Super Geeks.
Super Geeks. Indeed, I love it.
can't do
Okay,
it,
I'm
Carlos.
going to give it a solid 9, and the reason why I might have gone for the same 8 as you, Raina, but actually, I thought the first episode was a pretty banging episode. I thought it slowed down in like 2, 3, and 4, and then 2 and 3 for sure, and then started to pick up in 4, and then finally in the last ones they knocked it out of the park. So
No, it's difficult for me because I'm like
yeah.
teetering on the edge because I just had such a good ride through it that it would be an easy 9. So I'm trying to be objective and I'm failing because I'm like, God, I hate that I said 8.
go with your heart, Raina.
It's definitely a 9 then. It's 9.
Okay, there you go, folks at home.
Something.
Yes.
I thought this would be a good series, though, way in the beginning when nobody believed in it.
Oh, an extra bit of trivia. April 23rd, today, 1 year ago, Avengers Endgame. 2 years ago, Infinity War.
You mean 2 years
Coincidence?
ago?
I think not.
2
Endgame
years
was 2
ago
years
was
ago.
Endgame, and 3 years ago for Infinity War.
You know what I mean.
Yes.
2021, 2019, 2018.
I just realized something.
Yes.
You're wearing a hat?
Travis has to go potty. I mean, Lane has to go potty.
Either one.
Don't worry. We have a fill-in.
You have a fill-in for his body? That's gross.
And we have a fill-in
You
for
guys
Lane.
are gonna make him go away. I'm just saying.
He'll
He's
never
gonna go away. He's gonna
Hey,
take the millions of viewers
Look,
that we have with
Look,
him.
I'm not one to kink shame, but you guys need to stop it. Come on.
I know. Your son is right for once.
I don't know what kind of litter box Lane uses, but we got one of those litter robots.
Shut up.
Okay, I think that puts a nice bow on the whole thing. So let's move into our Star Trek portion, and so we've been covering the Star Trek Voyager documentary for a few weeks now, as they've been going through their wildly successful crowdfunding campaign, and now they are letting us know what's going to happen with all that money that they got. How do people feel about what the direction of this project looks like now that they have raised so many dollars?
Patches and biscuits and T-shirt. Oh my!
No. These guys have a track record that's actually good. I actually got an email from the team this afternoon. They have closed down the Indiegogo campaign. They are saying that they are moving forward with the fulfillment of perks, and they'll be sending out their backer kit to all the backers soon. I'm again still very optimistic for what they intend to do, and I'm curious of what will happen and whatnot. There hasn't been too much on the news front. They recently had people submit photos for a little like collage poster. Like, what are they? Like, basically, it's a poster comprised of backers' photos. I submitted a photo for that. That was fun, and yeah, I mean, they're moving forward with it, and
you'd think with all that, extra money, they could actually hire the people from Voyager to be in the Voyager documentary.
I mean, they've got some people.
I think, yeah. I mean, that's in the interview that's linked to our Trello card on this one. That's kind of what they're aiming for with some of those dollars. So that may be, in fact, what we end up seeing. You know, what I think is interesting about this phenomenon of Voyager, where we have this documentary for not one of the best Star Trek series out there, following a similar effort for what was arguably the best Star Trek series out there. They out-earned them. They have a huge and growing fan base. And my theory about this is that it's all thanks to Netflix. Netflix gave a lot of people, particularly younger people, a chance to get into Voyager on a bingeable basis, in a place where it was not competing with other shows on a network on a particular night, and they could move through it very quickly. And I think that if Voyager had relied just on the fan base it was able to build from airing the way that it did on network television, we wouldn't have seen anything near as successful as this crowdfunding campaign. Thoughts?
Well, I mean, I watched the Voyager watch through a while back on Netflix. I mean, it was just there, so why not?
The producer of one of the producers of this documentary points out that on Netflix, 6 out of every 10 episodes streamed on Netflix are Voyager episodes. Think about that.
Dang.
Well, I mean, considering all the other major powerhouse shows. Are you joking?
I wish Jason were here, because that would infuriate the fuck out of him.
That's true. That's true. When he comes back, assuming he does, please point that out to him.
Oh, wait, he's still here.
Oh, he's coming back. Hey, Jason. Hey, Beard Passe.
Hey, Jason, we got the juicy one here.
Did you catch any of that, Jason? We were talking about Voyager documentary.
No, I had to step
Your
away
favorite
from
show.
my computer for a moment to use a little.
Your favorite show, and we were pointing out that that Netflix is probably one of the big reasons why Voyager has become so popular. Popular enough for a fan base that's paying so much money for this documentary. And I pointed out the statistic that out of every 10 episodes, Star Trek episodes streamed on Netflix, 6 of them are Voyager episodes. And Sun was basically in your face, Fasse. I mean, in your face.
Carlos.
What? I mean, are you going to tell me to stop it?
I mean,
no, I was going to ask. Really?
I can't account for taste. People watch things really bad all the time. I mean, how many seasons of The Bachelor are there now?
Oh God.
I mean, we're talking about the guy who said he would keep Netflix until, what was it, The Office went away, and that's when he gave up Netflix. So there's no talk about taste here, mister.
I think Sun wins this episode of the Super Geeks. Okay, so I guess we're hoping for big things out of this documentary, and we'll continue to cover this topic as it moves along.
When we say big things, we mean like big steaming piles of.
Hey,
chocolate ice cream.
That's not. That's not.
Put
That's a nice
Put
documentary.
up Andrew Schmidt's latest nugget of wisdom, Justin.
No.
This is for
Don't.
you. This is for you,
No.
Passe. Do it.
Don't.
Do it. Do it.
No. Don't. Take it down.
Yes.
Show.
Andrew is biting all the time.
He
Lord.
really is. It's
Oh,
all about
Andrew,
you.
Andrew.
Falcon punch.
No.
Oh Lord.
Oh,
You
Lord.
guys
We're going
are
to
terrible.
hear that
Wasn't
now
quite
for
worth
years.
Justin.
That one
See what
needs
you
to be
did,
turned down
Carlos?
just a bit.
Carlos?
All right. All right. So now we're going to come back to an old topic, but a fresh take. And that is, we have covered the whole fandom menace thing now for, I guess we can say legitimately years now on this
We're
show.
talking about this.
But one of the things I've noticed is that, and it's disturbing trend from my perspective, is how much traction some of these fandom menace ideas are getting on more and more mainstream websites. So we're not just talking about we got this covers, what's the other one? Giant freaking robot.
Yeah, giant freaking robot bounding into comics.
Cosmic book
Cosmic
news.
book news.
All of those that they pick
Screen
up
Rant.
these. I would not put Screen Rant on that level.
I do.
It's close.
Anyway, so one of them, Heavy.com, this week published this headline. Star Trek fans want showrunner's contract to end. Of course, they're talking about the often fired Alex Kurtzman. And I read that and it really bothered me because the media does tend to do this. They tend to lump all Star Trek fans into one big monolithic group. And we all know that is not true.
It's
because
not just Star Trek fans. It's
whatever
fan of anything. Like that,
whatever group.
that shooting happened rather recently, and then suddenly all bronies were Nazis.
I'm sorry,
I don't
what?
even pretend to understand bronies. That one guy was the shooter in, where was he? Which
The
one was
FedEx
it?
shooter, I think it was.
Yeah, the one in Indianapolis, wasn't it? He was a brony.
Yeah, he was a brony. Now suddenly all the bronies are Nazis. One dude.
What?
Yeah,
he was a brony. They found some post or something in his social media.
Yeah, and so you had a whole bunch of people.
I think we broke Ross.
Ross is trying to figure out friendship is magic with mass shooting.
Well, so I think we've covered this before, though. I think we definitely talked about a segment of the brony fandom having Nazi or white supremacist.
And that's no different from segments of the Insane Clown Posse being the exact same way.
Yeah, we covered that part of we're covering a story about Derpy Boru. It's a fan hub website for the My Little Pony fandom, and there is a small subsect that are very vocally and overtly racist, and the moderators of the site keep it up because they want to promote free speech, and that includes stuff that people would consider to be abhorrent. But that doesn't make the entire fandom racists, nor does.
Well, right, and that's my point in bringing this up is the idea that turning fandoms into. I mean, arguably, there have to be fans who like Alex Kurtzman's work because we keep watching the shows. They're growing the audience. The number of shows is increasing, and that is completely at odds with this portrait they're painting of fans not liking what Alex Kurtzman is doing.
But Carlos, I think this goes in line also with like stupid things like when it comes to like, well, the shooter was caused by a gamer. He played Mario Kart in 1993. That was the last time he played a video game. Suddenly every gamer is going to go out and commit a mass shooter. Like that's the kind of thing that annoys the hell out of me is, like you said, it's the collective. They treat the collective as the villain rather than one bad apple. Like as if shooters, if they watched one show many years ago, suddenly that whole fandom is demonized for it. I can't stand that.
Well, again, I think it. I mean, if you remember when is it Jordan Peterson? Not Jordan Peterson. What was the guy's name? Jordan, whatever.
Explain the situation around them.
So okay, so back in what the 2013, 2014 STLV, shortly after Into Darkness came out, the what's his name? Jordan. He used to host the official Star Trek podcast.
I don't remember his name. I know what you're talking about, though. What's the point?
So he basically got he had a panel, and Jordan Hoffman. So he had a panel, and which they basically got like 50 or 60 people into the panel. They shut the doors, and then he conducted that infamous rank your favorite Star Trek movies, which put the two
I remember
Bad
that.
Robot films at the very bottom. And that was the press that came from STLV that year, was that Star Trek fans hated the new films. And that's where that whole thing, like thing started. I think it's the same thing. It's you get the loudest people and you give them the megaphone, and that's what the Heavy's doing here. And I think that's what, that's what the media does in general. They give the people with the loudest voice the megaphone because that's what's entertaining. That's what drives clicks.
People need to learn statistics.
Yeah, I mean, they need to be skeptical,
Well, first thing that I learned in taking the class this year is that you've got to have an actual objective and diverse sample size in order to get an accurate estimate of what the actual population says. Because if you have a bad sample, that data is going to be skewed and unreliable. If you're taking a survey of people at a convention, you're not getting a good sample size, because these are people who chose to be at a convention and chose to be in a specific panel to make this decision. So they're going to be biased.
Self-selected sample.
A self-selected sample. It's the same argument about Rotten Tomatoes. The people who are voting what movies and shows are good or bad in the audience score are a self-selected sample. They're people who deliberately go to that site to make a review. And a lot of them go there to make bad reviews.
But I think this falls on the other side of it as well, because you also have, when there's a moment that these kind of situations can be used for good too, because who is funding a lot of these websites? Because they get a stake in what is said as well. It's not always just a collective of people. Sometimes you got to see who's padding whose pockets as well, because that does play a role into it. It's bad all the way around.
All bias.
Oh, exactly.
Well, I mean, let's not act like this has never happened in journalism ever before. This has. This constantly happens. Like when the New York Times puts out a poll and you read the statistics of the poll, there's not an even split between them polling Democrats and Republicans.
There's a valid statistical reason for that. There are more Democrats than Republicans in the country. So if you're going to get an accurate sampling of the population, that proportion needs to be similar to the proportion of the actual population.
Well, it's also important to keep in mind that... Go ahead, son.
That's a very slim margin given the election numbers the last election.
Well, you have to also remember that there's a substantial number of independents that skew it, but there are known more registered Democrats than there are Republicans.
Well, that's also because the Democratic Party is a much more diverse group of people with a much broader set of ideals than the Republican Party, which tends to be a bit more monolithic lately.
You're also talking about a party side that pushes voter registration a lot more too.
Yes, but how does that relate?
You would have more Democrats with Democrats pushing, hey, sign up to vote.
Right, because there are more people in the country who tend to support democratic issues, but in a country where electorally there's been so much gerrymandering that unless you get a lot more of them out, you can't overcome the gerrymandering effect. So that just makes sense to me that they would do that. You know, why you'd see
take that down right now.
Okay, that was good. That was appropriate, Justin. We'll get you trained yet.
I broke that.
I never want to see that again.
Look,
No,
at this
take it
point,
off.
the biggest issue here is that this is just a continuing visualization of the failure that is journalism ethics. Because these kinds of rumors get more and more traction on what we would consider mainstream news reporting. Who's fact-checking any of it? It seems like nobody's fact-checking anything.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the things that really bothers me about all this is there's like no really great way of knowing how many Star Trek fans there actually are, what the demographics of all Star Trek fans are. There's just no way to know that. The only metrics that can be relied upon for anything are the ratings for the shows. You know, there's either enough people watching or there's not enough people watching. And they'll know the demographics of the people who are watching, but not necessarily of Star Trek fans as a whole, because as we know, especially towards the end of the Berman era, there are a lot more fans, people who consider themselves Star Trek fans, who were no longer watching Star Trek shows. So it's just hard to get.
Well, you're also dealing with companies having their own platform, which means they don't have to report numbers publicly for ratings.
Well, correct. They don't have to report numbers publicly for ratings, and so the numbers themselves may be secret, but they still have boards of directors and shareholders to whom they have to report how well they're doing in order, they have to, because they're public companies. So it's not like, everything about these shows is kept locked up in a vault. Their job is to make money. And if they're not making money, then their shareholders can sue them for not sharing with them, being above board about, what's working and what's not working in the company.
It's all about this.
I can't wait for I can't wait for the 40K show to come out and me and Ross to argue 40K all night long, and then the rest of you are going to look confused, except for Son.
I'm telling you, if you do that, I'll probably just talk to Lane the entire show.
Oh, that would be fun, though. We keep your microphone on, Travis.
Just talk about how he needs to watch Ride Your Wave or
things we talk to Lane about. That could be a book. That could be a book. Okay, we're gonna move on to some more Marvel related news, and the Shang-Chi trailer came out this week. Raina, I know you were super happy about what we saw. Why don't you start us off, and then we'll find out what other people's reactions were.
I think it's awesome. I think it's great. We just came out of this whole cosmic thing We got magic inbound. Now we've got martial artists now. Like, I think this is fantastic. We needed something new, and I think bringing in new heroes into the fold and then touching on ones we didn't get much screen time with, I think Marvel's doing the right thing. Not to mention the movie just, like, if the choreography is that good in it, like, the fighting's going to be astounding. It looks awesome. I watched it twice to see if I could pick up on any Easter eggs, and there is a lot of Iron Fist Easter eggs in there. A lot.
Did you say a lot of iron fisting?
No.
That's what I know.
Not appropriate.
I'm going.
But I'm very stoked for it. I think it's going to be a nice new age for Marvel. You know, we're getting fresh faces in, and I think that's really what we need right now.
And I agree with you. I think, the challenge Marvel was facing was not resting on their laurels and trying to keep doing more of the same, because ultimately people will get tired of that.
I will say that I read an article that the Chinese are not particularly pleased with the with the trailer so far, but they haven't seen the resulting movie. So they might be more pleased with the movie than what's released in the trailer. I don't know why. They didn't give us particulars, but they said that the Chinese audience in general is not receptive to this, which is interesting. But
I wonder if that's a reaction strictly to the trailer or a generalized reaction to how badly American studios tend to present Asian stories.
Probably the latter. Probably the latter, in my opinion.
And they're just, more skeptical about these kinds of movies.
And right now, there's kind of more of a fetting for these kind of things over there right now with everything going on in their political climate as well. So, I mean, to be fair, like, I think from my perspective as an American, I don't understand I'm not going to try and pretend to understand, like, what's going through people's minds there. But I could say from my perspective, I think that it looks excellent. I'm going to go see it day one because it's nice. It's something fresh. That's why I've been saying, instead of recycling old characters, you're taking the ones that didn't get much screen time, like Wanda and Sam and Bucky, and you're giving them more screen time, which is great. And then you're adding new, fresh faces, which is exactly what they've been needing to do right after Endgame. I think that's exactly, we need a new roster, and I think that's great.
I also agree that people were getting fatigued out of the same stories. Not that they were same stories or didn't develop further, but the same characters, at least same actors. They wanted to see something fresh and new.
What's also interesting, I'm looking at a story here from the Direct, and they said that approximately 3,400 viewers who weighed in on the Taiwan account, roughly 1,600 of them disliked the trailer, whereas about 600 in the Hong Kong audience out of 1,000 voters disapproved.
Wow!
So it's not just politics; it's across.
Oh yeah, and that's what I was saying. I didn't know for sure. Like I was saying, I don't know if that played a part in it, but that big of a margin, definitely not. There's more to it than that.
There's a lot of interesting things in this trailer, but my first impression was, wow, this is Iron Fist, but okay.
I think the Iron Fist actor was lacking. I forget his name now. Unfortunately, he's very forgettable, sadly.
Especially compared to the rest of the Defenders.
Well, I mean, yeah, of the Netflix series, Iron Fisting was really bad.
You're just doing it on purpose, Jason, and I know you.
He knows you.
Keep it up. It's fun.
He's trying to hide his biker's beard this week, and it's not happening for me.
Well,
the actor may have been forgettable for Iron Fist, but the one thing that wasn't forgettable was the fact that he was barefoot every fucking where, especially in New York. For God's sakes.
Talk about
what I noticed?
Yeah, but John McClane did that
should
first.
Be Iron Foot.
In Los Angeles.
Iron Feet.
Los Angeles is a bit cleaner than LA. I don't know if you've been to both, Jason.
You mean New York?
Dude, he was in a building under construction.
I don't know if you guys picked this up, but the two things I'm curious about if they're going to touch on. One is Trevor, after that Marvel one-shot, Hail to the King, with the fake Mandarin. I wonder if
Yes.
they're going to end up touching on that. And not to mention, I wonder if they're going to put any Iron Man Easter eggs in there, because considering how big of a part that played.
Thank you, Justin.
It's real.
Everything.
Is that real?
Yes.
Channing Tatum?
Channing Tatum is not in something called Iron Fisting.
They look very upset for somebody that just got fisted.
Might have been a bad fisting.
It's
happened.
it's not to
Typically
everyone's
is.
taste.
There's an article.
You got to train up for it. You got to use a lot of lube.
Yeah,
If
put
you're
it
not
in the chat.
prepared.
It's time to go to bed. Go to bed. Go to bed.
Yeah, you guys, you're saying stuff to in front of Lane. He's a
Oh,
child.
I'm sure Lane's probably heard worse.
Yeah, but see, here's the
Hey,
thing.
There's
Ross
nothing
is,
wrong with
Ross
real, I
is,
promise.
Ross is doing
Like
nothing but
brownies with
being
balls.
completely honest.
And educational.
And educational.
I strive to be informative in all things.
Uh-huh.
Earlier this week, my uncle posted something stupid about trying to get milk from a bull, and I told him, "Dude, you can milk a bull, but the milk doesn't taste very good."
It's kind of
Tyler
thick
Swin
and
knows
like
something about that.
salty.
Feed it.
Travis. Poor Travis.
Feed it some parsley.
No,
I hear that
see?
helps.
Now, see, as much as he's screaming into that pillow, it sounds like he's a bull.
Okay, stop picking on Travis, you guys.
Not fair.
But-
Not fair.
Okay, we're moving on to our next story, still Marvel Cinematic Universe, and that is the news that Emilia Clarke, whom we know best as Daenerys Stormborn from Game of Thrones, is joining the Marvel Cinematic Universe, although we don't know in what role. So I read that and go, yay! But it's like if you don't know what movie or what role, it's like I'm kind of underwhelmed. Your reactions?
This is interesting to me because reportedly this is supposed to be for the Secret Wars movie.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not going to play out quite the same way, because the Secret Wars was all about the Skrulls infiltrating the Marvel universe, taking the place of certain heroes, and trying to take over the world. Well, the Skrulls are kind of the good guys now in the MCU.
Yep.
They're working with
Marvel.
Nick Fury and the cosmic version of SWORD to help protect Earth, which is now the Skrulls' surrogate home. So I don't know what's going to happen.
There's my theory is that there's a splinter of the Skrulls empire that survived that is going to be weighing in the Secret Wars.
That was literally my prediction. It's going to be a splinter group from them. It's either going to be that, or it's going to be some kind of Kree technology that's allowing them to infiltrate whatever's left of them. I mean, that's going to be the only way they can play it. I'm at this point.
Pretty much. I call it like Reyna.
And this was right before the big Civil War event. So it was actually one of the things that kind of led into it. So I have no idea what's about.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see. Yeah, what their take is on Secret Wars. One of the things I actually really like about the Marvel Cinematic Universe is where they have made departures from the comics versions of some of these stories. I actually tend to agree that they're better stories in the cinematic universe than they were in the comics.
Yeah,
fight me.
Civil War is one of the best examples of that, I think.
But I agree.
In Marvel Civil War, it was a very American story. The U.S. government specifically was taking efforts to regulate and monitor the superhuman population after it was already regulating and monitoring the mutants.
Mm-hmm.
But it was all very contained to the United States, whereas Captain America Civil War, it was international. It was the entire world trying to come together to figure this out, and it made for a much more complex story rather than one that seemed a bit more specific and limited, if involved more superheroes.
Well, not to mention it was more deep between Tony and Steve. I felt like they were able to touch on that dynamic a lot more.
And if these events had happened, prior to Age of Ultron, Steve would have been on the government side, and Tony would have been on, would have been the one saying we're not going to read it. It was very. I've been thinking about this a lot this week with this movie's particular, with the end of the Falcon and Winter Soldier, because of how much development happened. Steve. You look at Iron Man 2, where he's like, fuck you to the senator. And then he realizes that he cannot defend Earth himself through Age of Ultron. Whereas look at Cap's journey in Winter Soldier, where Hydra basically takes over everything, and Steve realizes he cannot trust the government.
Can't blindly trust.
And so that's why, you see that kind of reversal, and you get that dynamic.
Well, you kind of also go off all the way back to the first Avengers movie. What does Steve tell Tony? You would never sacrifice yourself. You would never put yourself on the wire for someone else, and that is exactly what he did.
You're not the one to make the sacrifice play.
Yeah, and then not to mention, what did Stark say to Cap?
The only thing special about you came out of a bottle.
Which was the one thing about him that he used his humanity more than anything. That serum didn't define him. They grew past what I felt like Marvel had pulled a smart and called all the way back to that, because they became polar opposites. They grew so much. It was definite growth through the whole thing, and it was natural growth through the events that they went through, and I feel like it benefited all the stories.
Let's not mask it. The Civil War is a basis of the Patriot Act and how divided we were strictly after that. It was a reaction to it. So in a way, it definitely put the issue in a fictional context that we could examine and talk about without hurt feelings or implicit blame.
And the results, the end result, can easily be looked at too with Cap's violent opposition eventually resulting in mass destruction that he had to be talked down from, not by other heroes, but by regular people saying, hey, look at the damage you're causing.
Well, I think that Civil War also draws on the big gray area.
Oh, yeah.
We see it from us on the onset. Like, hypothetically, you're seeing superheroes and things go at it. We're seeing the destruction portion of it. We're not seeing the gray area of what they're actually going through. And I think Falcon and the Winter Soldier actually touched on that a lot. Like, what about their big sacrifices? What about what they had to do to get everyone back after Thanos? Like, it was not small steps.
Yeah.
And I think we forget the heroes. It's their journey along the way, too. And we're just seeing it from the onset,
Yeah, one of the things I thought was really interesting after Age of Ultron was seeing who lined up behind whom. And some of them made perfect sense. Others I was surprised by. And the fact that we saw them have to pay for that in Infinity War and in Endgame, I think it just really gave a through line to that theme, so that it wasn't just this one event in one film.
And it was a huge risk on Marvel's take. They could have played it safe and said, well, this person lines up behind him, and once they're done, they're all on the same team. That would have ended up horrible, but it would have been the milk-warm reception that it would have gotten. But the truth is that they have taken risks with their universe, and it has paid off mightily. Because it's an extremely in-depth universe, whereas we can compare it to DC. They don't take risks. They play to their strengths, and they played it badly.
Yeah.
I think one benefit too is that it always feels natural when they get past things that they're struggling with. It doesn't feel like they just forced it. Like, oh, here's a MacGuffin. Suddenly everyone's okay. And DC does that a lot. I don't care what anybody says. DC does it all the time. But with Marvel, even look at the beginning of Endgame. Tony still was disagreeing with Cap after losing half of everything.
He was pissed.
He was really pissed off. And
he doesn't care for Doctor Strange either.
But when they fix that relationship, though, even then you could still like see like, okay, there's still a little bit of tension here. It's not like they're just friends again. Like there's still like a cautionary feel to it.
Isn't it, Raina?
Say again?
That's very natural, isn't it? Because even when we have conflicts within our groups, that when the people come back together, there's always a feeling of not mistrust, but apprehension. That did the other person change? Am I changed? That sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly. That feeling still lingers, and that's one thing that I think Tony and Steve both do very naturally. Is they're both still, you could tell from the moment, even like during the events of Endgame, they're still very disagreeing. It isn't until they go all the way back to get more of the Pym particle that you can actually see, okay, we're on the same page. But all the way up till that point, you could tell that there was like lingering tension through that whole thing.
Yeah,
and,
for sure.
and it feels natural. Like Marvel has a way to make dynamics natural. If you watch Justice League, you're like, I don't buy any of this. I don't care what cut you're putting out. It just doesn't feel natural. Like it doesn't flow right. But Marvel did it right by going a movie at a time, because you understand these characters' motivations.
Yeah, I mean,
You
that's
see why they would
fundamentally.
clash.
Yeah, that's fundamentally the big difference between the two franchises is Marvel took their time. They took 22 movies, and DC tried to do it in what, 4? You're just not going to get there in four jumps.
And they had moments. DC,
sure. I mean, there are aspects of all the DC movies that are really good. And a couple of the movies themselves as a whole are really good. But in terms of building a world, building a universe, a lot of missteps, I think.
Right. Well, I mean, you think about it. They brought in Superman, and I think that was a great movie. I love Man of Steel. I mean, I know that it doesn't always get the credit that it deserves. It's not as good as Christopher Reeve's, the Reeve films, but I
disagree.
But then we get Man of Steel, and then we were supposed to get a second Man of Steel movie, but instead of that, we jump right into Batman versus Superman, and our Batman is an established Batman. We don't learn any. I mean, and I know you can make the argument, well, the Batman origin story has been told, blah 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 blah, but we jump into this new Batman having conflict with Superman, and there's no reason for it. There's no built animosity. It was just forced, and so then we get Batman versus Superman, and Superman dies, and then we get to Wonder Woman, which is a period film that takes us outside of that, and that was probably the best.
That's the best DC movie. Wonder Woman, the first one, is the best DC movie right now.
And interestingly, just like Marvel, they made a huge departure from the comic story by placing it in World War I instead of World War II. Different set of stakes, right. And I think it paid off for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, but you're right, Carlos. They jumped right into kind of like the big bad, like they went right to Thanos, or the DC version of Thanos, instead of taking their time and having the conflict build. I mean, they just made a lot of mistakes. They went for, the money shot too soon.
And one of the big things that I'm noticing DC is really struggling with is sequels to their individual movies. Wonder Woman 1984 is terrible compared to the first one. It's awful.
Has a rape scene. Hello, has a fucking rape scene. Where Wonder Woman rapes a dude. Give me a break. How offensive can you get?
I don't understand DC sometimes. Like when you had something as good as the first Wonder Woman movie, that movie, like I can go back and watch that and still enjoy it every time I watch it. I will never go back and watch 1984. There's no point.
But then compare that with what they were doing on TV for the past decade, and it's a world apart. Like it makes no sense that you could put out really good quality television, yet your movies
different companies
suck.
Is there
different creative team?
Yeah.
Is there a Kevin Feige for DC?
Jeff Johns, right?
Jeff Johns is close. He doesn't have the same kind of power that Kevin Feige does, though.
Because all the successful franchises kind of have that central figure. You've got the Kevin Feiges, you got Kathleen Kennedy, you've got Alex Kurtzman, but DC doesn't seem to have that kind of.
No, they don't. They don't. Well,
on
Berlanti's
TV?
on the TV, but yeah, Berlanti has that kind of pull on the TV series. But in the cinematic universe, no, they have a team of maybe 3 or 4 people whose names you see over and over again, but there's no single unifying vision in it, and
has been replaced by Jon Favreau,
which is a smart decision on its own.
Oh, you mean for Star Wars?
For Star Wars, yes.
Yeah, for sure. And Jeff Johns, I've read his stuff, from back when he was in comics, decades ago, and I've always liked his take on things. I'm not sure his work in film has been as strong. It's been kind of hit and miss. Plus, he was one of the people rumored to have been one of the part of the trouble on the Justice League set.
Well, have you guys noticed, they're trying to pull Marvel directors, though? When they bought James Gunn, they're like, can you do Suicide Squad? Can you fix our cinematic universe for us? Can you do this? That's what the key is going to be. You're going to need people who have done these kinds of movies before and just start over.
Well, you need to...
Except it didn't work out too well with Joss Whedon.
Yeah, I was going to say exactly the same thing.
Here's
we not bring up Whedon.
If DC wants to get back on, if Warner wants to get DC back on track, what they need to do is they need to have a unified vision for what needs to happen. Granted, the MCU didn't start that way, right? But I think you can. I think that if you look at it very clearly, we get to what? We get to Captain America, right? Then we start to see this plan kind of coalesce after Disney bought Marvel Studios. I think that's kind of what DC and Warner need to do, is they need to find somebody who can act as the franchise captain, right? And let that person make the plays, call the shots, bring in the directors, bring in the EPs to deliver on a unified vision.
Well, also, Marvel holds them big meetings, when they have every one of the directors that's currently working on a movie. We've heard talks of them saying, okay, this is going to be in my movie, so make sure you reference these events. They have a cohesive timeline.
They have a Marvel
Star
goal.
Trek's doing much the
What they
same.
did in the comics.
You have to have that timeline.
Really walked away from a lady joining a Marvel movie. And here,
Wasn't this about a trailer?
No, this was about Emilia Clarke.
And here I've been sitting here this whole time wanting to say, look, I just want this new phase of the Marvel Cinematic Universe to Disney is Disney, and Disney's got the money. They could pair with whoever owns, I would like to see a Marvel Cinematic movie with an Astro Boy in it from Japan, or an Ultraman from Japan, or maybe some real life Sun Wukong from China as a superhero.
Ooh. Ruby.
I mean, to be fair, they could do it.
I agree with you that those would be really great adaptations to see. But is Disney really the company to do it?
Not Disney.
Yeah.
Marvel.
I mean, Disney owns Marvel. It's Disney money.
Disney is
Well,
Marvel.
yeah, but Disney money doesn't necessarily equate into
And we also have
creative choices.
Not Power Rangers.
I'm not saying it. I don't expect a Japanese company to just hand over Astro Boy to Disney. I expect that someone would have the idea, go to Disney and said, hey, you know what? Let's see if we could get partnership rights like what we did with Spider-Man.
Yeah, but that was a little bit different because Fox had been fighting those properties when they started getting big again. The fact that they had joint ownership to begin with, that was the only reason that there was any discussion. Some property that's not related to Disney or Marvel, they're not going to fight for it. I think they're going to stay within brand till the day they die. I mean, that's just how it's going to be.
Yeah.
Well, they acquire something new.
And as far as I know, Journey to the West isn't that considered like public domain, at least internationally?
Yes, because it's old. Yes, because it's before the cutoff time for the copyrights. But I was gonna say, son, have you seen the new movie? I forget what it's called, but it is about Sun Wukong. Oh no, it's not about Sun Wukong. It's about Neza, and it's Neza in a dystopian world.
I haven't seen it.
Chinese company. They do an excellent job there of taking the mythic Chinese ideals and putting them in a futuristic setting. He's a delivery boy.
Well,
that's Neza Unbound.
But you know what I'm getting at is, you know, you're talking about there's one thing we will never escape in a Marvel Cinematic Universe, and that is the fact that all of the Marvel heroes are distinctly American in American situations. And
I think that's what Shang-Chi's trying to do. It's trying to branch off.
Right. We kind of see that trying to break away. And
yeah, WandaVision kind of broke away from that nicely.
You're talking about this Marvel Phase 4, and it's supposed to be this big push outward in different characters and different superheroes taking up older superhero mantles. And we're just, we're not really just coming off of, but we've literally had like all of this other shit happen that is supposed to have been worldwide, and yet we don't have like other national superheroes from other nations.
Son, that actually makes sense to me. I get what you're saying now. Sorry, I wasn't understanding what you're saying, but I get it now. And actually we are, because we're getting like Miss Marvel, we're getting Shang-Chi. Mm-hmm. I think Sam was the inclusion. Like we have more Black Panther content coming, despite losing Chadwick Boseman. I think they're trying. I really do see Marvel as trying.
They got to do it organically, or else it'll seem forced. And I agree with you, son. That I think they recognize themselves. They're American centric. Can only take them so far. Now they want to present the world with their superhero image. I'd like to point out that there's a DC book that was very successful. It was called Batman Inc. And what happened was an older, kind of retired Bruce Wayne went to each individual country and set up its own Batman. And so you had the Japanese Batman, who was different from the Russian Batman, who was different from the Israeli Batman. And this was something that they were kicking around Hollywood to do as a series, which would have been brilliant, absolutely brilliant series. Because you would get to see different societies, their cultural takes on this creation and that mythos.
Let's be honest. The Israeli Batman is just Adam Sandler and Zohan.
No.
I say no.
I say no.
Instead, we got Batman Ninja.
Can I just say that that's such a Batman thing to do, to establish other Batman in other countries? Like that is just such a Batman move.
It's a big
Megazord thing.
It's a big thought sort of thing, right, Raina?
Oh yeah,
it's also an X-Men kind of thing. You know, they had franchises all over.
I'm having a very hard time imagining Canada Batman.
He's very polite.
He's like American Batman, but he doesn't punch people.
No, he does punch people, but then he apologizes right after.
I'm sorry. Wait,
sorry.
No. When he leaps down from the ceiling to gather him up and string him up, I'm sorry.
No, and that Batman is in charge of all the Tim Hortons.
He says he's sorry, but then he has to say it in French. Also, similar.
Wait, no. If this is French Canadian Batman, that he's surrendering.
French Canadians are actually quite tough.
You know what?
That's not true at all. That's not true at all.
I have many Quebecer friends who would have your hide for that, Fosse.
Let Travis finish his fucking joke.
Except they're French, so I'm not scared of them.
I thought he did. Did you?
No,
he
didn't.
I've
He
got
was
another
still
part.
talking when you laughed.
He laughed. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, also somewhere in the cosmic infinity that is the universe, I'm very sure that right now, somewhere, George is saying, "What are they fucking talking about on the show?"
That's true because he's a
He
Batman.
was the Batman guy.
fan. Yeah. What do you think, Ross? You knew him well. Would he approve of Batman Inc.?
I think he would. I mean, just look at Bat Radio.
Knowing George like I did, I can tell you exactly what he would think of a Canadian Batman.
Yeah,
and it's none of what you said. A Canadian Batman would storm all the way to DC in the United States, take it, burn it down, and then head home, just like the Canadians did in the United States.
I gotta say, to add to Son's point, it's kind of funny that we're talking about this though, because we were just talking about how much DC's failing, but their animated series all touch on multicultural diversities.
I'm very much looking forward to watching one of their latest ones, Justice Society of America World War II.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yes.
Barry Allen accidentally travels back in time to World War II, where Wonder Woman leads a team of superheroes against the Nazis.
The animated features is one place that DC's always excelled in.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's like the equal opposite of their live action.
Kevin Conroy will always be my Batman.
Oh, absolutely.
Mask of the Phantasm was so good.
I mean, it's war.
I still want my Batman Beyond movie. Come on, DC. I don't care how bad it is. If you make it, I will still go see it. I make you this promise. I don't even care how bad it is, that or Static Shock. If they make it, I don't care if it's terrible. I pay it.
Speaking to which of you made the point about having a single visionary at the? Was that you, Raina, or was it Fosse?
No,
that was Ross. It was Ross.
I think it was Ross.
So speaking to that, I think if you look at the DC animated universe, you do see a couple of people who really have been consistently producing those all the way through. Sam Register, the other guy, what's his name?
I know who you're
James
talking
Tucker.
about.
James Tucker.
Was it? There's the one he was the producer of the 90s Batman animated series. He's been the producer for quite a few of them as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think that we're seeing a lot more of a kind of a cohesive, creative direction in, well, frankly, in their animated universe and their television universe that you just don't see, at the studio level for the cinematic universe. So it's not like they don't know that it can't be done. I think the studio has been unwilling to hand that much power over to a person.
They got to stop seeing Marvel's success and saying, all right, let's just hit the gas pedal and go straight to the end. You have to work your way to it. Marvel earned that movie. They earned that movie.
Well, they also didn't have a competitor to worry about.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I think that plays a huge part. But if DC were ever going to do it now, reboot it now. Because there's no, that's your competition, Marvel shows right now. And Shang-Chi. Mm-hmm. Now would be the start to start over and try again.
They definitely they have pieces of the puzzle. They have Jason Momoa as Aquaman, which is a huge benefit. Kids love that show. I mean, that movie and that concept with Jason Momoa. So
not just kids.
Yeah.
And son.
Yeah,
and son
the wife
well.
really loves Jason Momoa.
Yeah, my mother is a big fan of Jason Momoa.
I always love hearing about what your mother likes, Raul.
She's scandalous, I tell you.
Well, with the exception of Wonder Woman 84, the DC movies coming out post Justice League have been knockouts.
Pretty good. I'm looking forward to James Gunn's take on the Suicide Squad in Vietnam. That should be interesting.
I'm excited about that.
And I absolutely loved Shazam. That was such a wonderful
Shazam was fantastic.
Yeah, it was great.
But that's what I'm saying. When they have standalone movies, they do good, but they're terrible at sequels and like connective tissues. I don't understand.
Yeah, it's like to put this into a food metaphor. I know it's me. It's like they have all these really great ingredients and even great cooks. They just haven't figured out a recipe yet that works for them.
If only they had a buffet, right, Carlos?
Well, we've had a buffet. That's kind of the problem.
No, we didn't.
The buffet, the animated series.
But I guess you could say that. You know,
Maybe
what
they
we
need
we need is a really good multi-course meal. You know,
they need to just buy the Russos to come fix their universe. Just buy them, pay them whatever you want, buy them. That's how you're going to do it.
No,
you know who I want to see do superhero movies? The Wachowskis.
I would like to see that.
Imagine Matrix quality superhero
No,
movies.
they're too busy.
No, I don't want Matrix quality
reboot.
anything. Have you seen Matrix 2 and 3?
Yes, and they were great.
So bad. No, they were awful.
No, I don't
They're awful.
understand that. It boggles my mind why people dislike those movies so much. Topic for another day. Moving on.
Yes,
because they don't
we'll come
understand
back to that.
metaphysics, Ross.
Because we do have another Matrix movie coming, so you will have your chance, Ross, to go on that rant. I think it would be an interesting one.
It seriously pisses me off. People.
Well, I have very mixed feelings about it. I think there are aspects of the two sequels that I think are really thought provoking and wonderful, and others that are just some real misfires in there that you didn't see at all in the first one.
It's the logical continuation and conclusion of the Savior arc.
Yes, of that one arc, but there are a lot of other aspects to it that just were.
We're not arguing about that, guys. Yeah.
Yes, we're not.
I had to get it out. I'm done.
Oh, bullshit! We just spent like what, half an hour talking about DC on a Marvel fucking topic. Bullshit.
That's what
one
I mean.
leads to the other very easily.
Yeah. We need to get to the rest of it.
Okay, so we're going to wind up with our with our last DC related. This takes us to the DC television stories, the Arrowverse, or actually it's not technically Arrowverse yet, but it will be sometime soon. And that is Stargirl, which has its second season premiering this summer. And the news that came out this week is that they have not made a decision. Although in most television land, you would not have a decision this soon, but apparently it's a big deal that for this show, the CW has made no decision about whether to renew Stargirl for a third season, even though the second season hasn't even premiered yet. Is this a big enough deal for you? It's reportedly on the bubble for season 3 renewal, which, you know, as an industry term, it means it could go either way.
Carl,
really,
very honest, I'm not watching.
I really loved Stargirl season 1.
I did too.
I've already talked about how I'm kind of disappointed it doesn't keep the same aesthetic choices that we saw from Earth 2 as it was presented on The Flash.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm willing to overlook that because it is a very solid. It has solid skeleton. It has solid characters. Very solid. Yeah, and it ties into that thing I like most about superhero stories: passing the torch from one generation to another. Mm-hmm. It has an established mythos with characters that seem kind of idealized and up on a pedestal, and these kids that are coming in to kind of fill the boots of these characters, some that have direct ties to them, some that don't, but are taking up the mantle themselves. And I really, really like that. I like seeing them grow and explore and fill the shoes that they've chosen to step into, whether they chose to step into them or not. So there's a lot I like about Stargirl.
Agreed.
Have you guys seen Jupiter Rising, which is about that very same topic? It's a family drama of superheroes.
I thought it hadn't premiered yet. Has it premiered?
Has it? I believe it has.
I think it's on Netflix. We talked about it briefly. I think last week.
I've seen the trailer. I think.
Yeah, the trailer's been out, but I don't think it's premiered yet.
Let me take a.
I don't think it's premiered yet either.
I liked what I saw in the trailer of that though.
I know the comic book, and the comic book it's very successful, and it talks a lot about legacy and what we leave behind. It was exactly what I loved about the Snyder Cut, but in its own universe. So I really believe in this storyline. I think we're going to like it as much as the comic was well received.
Okay, that's Jupiter
Batman
Ascending,
approved.
not what I'm looking for.
No, Jupiter Rising.
Yep.
Yeah, I feel like it.
That's a music group.
Yeah, that's a different one.
It's on Netflix, if that helps, Ross.
Everything I'm getting is Jupiter Ascending.
So I'm looking at some of the villains from season 1 of Stargirl, and like the only thing I can think of
May
is
7th.
this that dude kind of
Yep.
looks like David Bowie.
So is it worth watching?
Oh, it's absolutely worth watching.
In the sky.
It was one of the live action shows that premiered with the DC streaming service, DC Universe, that's been folded into HBO Max.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can catch up on Stargirl, by the way, also on HBO Max. They've moved it all over there.
I was going to ask because I think I got caught into something else at that time. So I knew it had come out, but I didn't watch anything, and I didn't know anybody who actually watched it. So it's good to know.
Yeah, DC Universe had a lot of good shows for its run.
Yeah, well, some of them survive.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah,
on
the
HBO
good
Max.
ones are still on are on HBO Max now, like the Harley Quinn animated series, which is
It's hilarious.
it's so good. It's so good. I feel so bad for Kite Man.
Well,
He
I
got
mean,
himself torn and broken. And
He
got
didn't
his-
deserve it. He and Ivy were so cute together. I thought it was. I thought they looked like a good couple, and then they kind of turned it sour.
post-pandemic, they're probably just going to see how Stargirl does this season before they decide on a renewal.
Yeah, which I guess, I mean, that's the way it usually works, which is why, when I saw this article, I was like, why is this a big deal? Like, it has.
Well, the best part of the first season, if you remember, they already had a season 2 set.
Right. Yeah, they had
Well,
they'd
it's-
already greenlit it.
Yeah.
It's a different. It's a different kind of show than what we've seen in the Berlantinium.
Berlantium.
I like that, Ross.
I mean, it doesn't have the same kind of formula as the Arrowverse.
Thank God, because the Arrowverse is
Yeah.
getting a
Oh
little
my
tedious.
God.
Mess.
Yeah. Both, and it's a tonal polar opposite from Titans.
Mhm.
Oh, speaking of
Although
which,
I like Titans too,
Oh, I love
speaking of
Titans.
Arrowverse sucking, have you been keeping up with the Crash? I mean, the Flash.
It just is not capturing my attention anymore.
Yeah, it's got
You know why?
It did what we
You know why? It's because Ralph Dibny is gone.
No, they were. I forgot to mention that they did a creative thing on him the other day. They did something where his face got marred in an explosion, and he left, and he was wearing some type of a helmet to help him heal. Yeah, it was stupid, but I mean, they explained his absence and set it up for a new character to take over his spot, I guess, later. They ever brought him back.
Well, I did read that the CW is in negotiations with Grant Gustin. They want him to come back for an 8th season of Flash, and he's not sure he wants to come back for an 8th season. And I think that says a lot right there.
Well, I mean, how many
Money.
stories
Good
can
money.
you tell?
Well, it's not just the money, though. I just, because if it was the money, he would say yes right away. I feel like he's feeling what we're feeling, which is like it feels a little directionless the last few seasons.
Well, I mean, you can only save the day so many times and not progress Barry Allen any further. I mean, if you're not going to progress him into Godspeed like in the comics, then what's the point? I mean, the whole thing is for Barry Allen to progress, and then Wally West to take over eventually. They're not doing any of that. They're just,
Well,
Let's talk about how
maybe-
weird the
yeah.
CW's being, though. They're trying to do a Powerpuff Girls gritty
Yes.
live action
Yes.
show.
Yes.
we've reported on that too.
I'm looking forward to that.
I
Me
actually
too.
am too.
You guys know
I'm
who plays the
interested
professor,
to see
right?
how that turns out.
Look, all I want to see, all I want to see in a Powerpuff Girls remake is Bunny and how they treat her.
Well,
even
it's
one-
Find out.
It's not as much a remake as it is a sequel.
Oh, it is a sequel. Oh, shoot. Now I'm even more interested in what they're
Yeah,
going to do.
the
with
girls
it.
are all grown up.
Yeah, 'cause
They view their time as adolescent superheroes as kind of taking away their childhood and want to distance themselves from it. But
so they're a little bitter.
yeah, a little
minute.
bit.
Wait,
Right,
are you
it's-
saying?
They're little
you guys-
Michael Jacksons.
Are you guys saying it? They're being very CW right now. They're becoming jaded. Oh my god!
Well, it's going to be on the CW though. It's going to be right.
Yeah. Well, it's still they've only ordered a pilot. They haven't made a decision on a full series yet.
That's true. They're just they've so far just said yes to a pilot. So
I'd be
we'll
curious.
have to see. Well, and then if they don't pick it up, we may never see it. So
Oh man!
They usually end up leaking on YouTube anyway.
some do. That one probably would because there's enough people on the inside. who
Just
probably-
imagine.
Well, so what's his name?
They got Chloe Bennett, so I'm sold.
The professor is played by not Zach Braff. What's his name? Donald Faison. And so I listened to their podcast. So Zach Braff and Donald Faison have a Scrubs rewatch podcast, and so he's been talking a lot about it. And based on kind of what they're talking, it seems like it's going to get picked up.
Well, that would be a good thing.
Just
Put
imagine
little new blood into the CW. Frankly,
It's an interesting concept.
Bubbles has become the hardcore one, and Buttercup is a recluse who's always half suicidal.
Turn all the Cartoon Network shows that way. Do some kind of gritty follow up. That'd be kind of cool. Be a neat, interesting concept. Dexter's Laboratory and all that. Courage the Cowardly Dog. Come on, I'm into that. Let's do it.
Johnny
Just go all
Bravo,
in.
Family Man.
Ed and Eddie.
Johnny Bravo, middle-aged years.
No.
By the way,
no,
once again, I
no.
want to apologize to people on Facebook. Apparently, Facebook's having issues tonight disconnecting. I'm not sure what is going on, but it's nothing from our end. It's a Facebook problem.
They've been having issues
Well, please.
lately. Their messenger's been acting up too.
Oh,
Yeah, it has.
Messenger right now.
I just
I
keep
would like to
having
see a
to
gritty
reconnect
reboot of
screen.
Ren and Stimpy, or a live action adaptation of Beavis and Butthead.
Yes.
No.
Oh no!
Yeah.
A live,
Yes.
no,
Yes.
a live
Yes. I'm
action
with you on that, Jake.
adaptation.
It just
of
would not work, you
Real
guys.
monsters.
Why not? You have Matt Gates and
Oh man,
what's
Cecile,
his
you
name? It
just
looks like him.
nostalgia bombed me there.
Or, yeah,
I haven't thought about that in years.
Well, you're
Beavis
welcome.
Butthead with what was the other cartoon? Dora or no, not Dora. Daria. With
I like
Daria.
it. I thought it was clever.
Can we get a live action Samurai Jack movie already?
Yes.
Where-
Yeah.
I don't think
Where
we
is
need
that?
to make a live action.
Live
of
action
movie.
art.
I don't think
It's
so
fine
either.
as is.
You
It is
can-
fine
no.
as is.
Yeah. Dude, it's an artistic piece, of course, but I'm just curious. Like, if you get a good director on that, there'd be something to see on the big screen. I'm
Let's
just
just
saying.
remake Sonic the Hedgehog.
They've actually greenlit the second one, and they have confirmed they're going to have Knuckles.
All right, if we're going to talk about anything in the podcast, dear God, don't let it be the Sonic the Hedgehog movie.
We
I can't-
did that ages ago.
Yeah, we cried, we yelled because we rage quit.
We were really glad they changed Sonic.
Oh,
All right, let's move on to our next superhero topic. And this is the show that, well, gosh, at least Justin and I have been watching, and that is Invincible, based on the comic and graphic novels of the same name,
I started it.
which
Oh, Raina
It-
started it.
it airs on Fridays. Actually, Amazon tends to put it out a day early, so on Thursdays. And they are up to episode 7 now. Things are getting heated.
I'll be able to start catching up this week.
Please do, because I
Oh,
want to
you'll
talk.
love it.
We're
Oh,
getting
I'm
close
looking
to
forward
the
to
end.
it.
Yeah, we're getting close to the end, so we can do a full review of the season at some point soon here. But Justin, are you caught up yet?
Yes, I caught up. Didn't got done with the show last week, and I watched it right before. I'm loving this so far. Definitely getting good. Everything has come out in the open about what happened. Now let's see how this plays out. And yeah, it's definitely.
I'm definitely going to spend this weekend catching up on Invincible and the Nevers.
Oh, good for
Yeah,
you.
that's another one I watched too, by the way. Finally.
Yes, I saw your note about that, and I'm glad you did. I'm
Yeah.
really liking that show.
It has a strong start. The
Yeah.
Invincible, Invincible has like one of the strongest like starts for like a comic book show like that. I was really impressed. Like I kind of like watched it fast before the podcast. I'm like, man, I wish I would have watched it earlier because I want to watch more of it. It's awesome.
It's easy to binge.
I love it.
It's very easy to binge if you get into it. Yeah. And have you watched Nevers yet or no?
Not yet, no.
Oh yeah, you'll enjoy that one. It's not going to be for Lane though. Lane, it's too much for Lane. You'll have to put Lane to bed, Travis.
There's a lot of blood.
Yeah, and nudity.
Now, is the thing I got to ask something that's been bothering me? It's got to be the same artist who does the Boondocks, right?
No.
It looks exactly like the same art style. Like I swear,
it's not.
It's not.
It's so similar. Like I swear it. That's what it reminds me of. You guys remember the show The Boondocks on Adult Swim?
Yeah,
it has an art style kind of like that.
Yeah, based on the comic strip. It used to be newspapers. Yeah.
This one looks exactly like the comic book. I don't know. I Boondocks I don't have that much experience in, but the Invincibles I did collect the comic book.
Yeah, I did too. At least the first
series, anyway.
Yeah.
The one this is based off of. I think two of our people are stuck.
Really?
Am I stuck?
Yeah, it's you, sir, and
no, they seem to be okay.
No.
To me.
I'm all right.
I'm assuming
You're
Ross
stuck.
went to
I'm
the
all right.
bathroom or something, but
Ross looks like he's stuck, taking off his headphone.
No,
he was probably going to the bathroom.
His camera's
Ross
off.
is
but-
muted. Yeah,
Oh,
he
that's
wouldn't.
weird.
He wouldn't do the bathroom.
Yeah,
That's
he
weird.
stepped
Must
away.
be my end. Sorry.
Stepped away. Okay. All right. So yeah, please catch up on Invincible because it'll be great to review the whole
And the
story.
Nevers.
And the Nevers. There are only 3 episodes. 2 episodes.
No,
in.
it's two. Was there a third one out? When
No, I
did
think
they
it's
drop?
they drop on Sunday nights. So,
Okay.
on the
Alright.
West Coast, they're usually out about 6 p.m. On HBO Max. So yeah,
What
definitely.
the hell? Sorry, it didn't. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Facebook kicked me off again. I don't know what the hell's going on.
Facebook doing Facebook things.
Okay, so our last sci-fi topic for the week is an interesting poll that was done on YouTube by the website Looper on the best sci-fi TV series of all time. And they had about 200,000 people respond to this. And what show do you think ended up at the top of that list?
I saw
One
the-
that
I
didn't
saw
even
the article,
capture
so-
40% of any vote.
That's true. No single show got more than about a quarter of the votes. So they were spread out amongst a large number of shows.
Remember how we were talking about like poll manipulation earlier in the show? Here it is, right here.
I don't see how it's manipulated. They're pretty upfront with the numbers.
It says that write-in candidates accounted for 20%. All write-in candidates.
Mhm.
And then says Battlestar Galactica only got 9%.
Yeah. That is an interesting result. I'm not sure that's manipulative, though.
You would normally have the individual candidates themselves as write-ins out there, though, not saying all write-in candidates.
Well, we don't know how many there were, and my guess is that there were a lot. So, and that no single one of them came close to the 9% Battlestar Galactica got.
That was my vote.
So, what do you think won?
I know
if you
what
did,
won.
if you didn't cheat, If you didn't
Next
cheat,
Generation. I didn't cheat. I'm looking at you.
Oh, okay. No, it was not Next Generation. It wasn't any of the Star Treks actually. In first place,
X-Files.
X-Files was number 2.
Mm.
Think long running.
I thought the original series of Star Trek was number 2.
Yes. Think lots and lots of running and buzzing.
Logan's Run.
And owls.
Owls.
I think Alf was number 1.
No.
It was one of the write-ins, I'm sure. It was Doctor Who, people. 50 years.
Lots and lots of running and buzzing.
Owls.
Sonic Screwdriver.
Yes, and TOS was so Doctor Who brought in 27% of the vote. The original series, actually, I guess it came in third. Yeah, X-Files was number 2 at 24%. Original run of Star Trek at 21%, and then all the other write-ins came in fourth place at 20%, with Battlestar Galactica. This one surprised me. Battlestar Galactica by itself ended up with only 9% of the vote.
Well, I mean,
how the freak is this accurate?
I mean, like, if we're talking about the original show, it doesn't surprise me.
Oh yeah, I mean, I guess if you're talking about only the original show,
because
I assumed they were talking about the reboot. Which
the original show has some wonderful, wonderful aesthetic when it comes to their ships and whatnot, but I have not seen past the first episode. It is just very hard to watch.
This poll is all over the fucking place.
Yeah,
because it says coming in first place with 27% of the vote was the entirety of Doctor Who, with X-Files hot on its heels. Not far behind was the original run of Star Trek that took home 21%.
How is it they're doing the entirety of Doctor Who?
Yeah, no, I think that is a good question. You know,
I mean,
because why not add up all of the Star Trek series?
Yeah, if Doctor Who is its own each season. I mean, you have it, old shows, and you have to do Doctor Who shows. I mean, they're each their own flavor. You can't lump them all under one name. It's like you can't lump Star Trek under one name or Battlestar Galactica under one name. Whoever done this did not do their job.
I mean, has Doctor Who had any other names, or has it always been Doctor Who?
It's always been Doctor Who.
Doctor Who.
There's the older shows, and then the new shows, which they basically start series 1 on where it's at now. But they're considered. I don't think.
I mean, not bad for
Doctor Who is still missing a good chunk of its early seasons because they didn't preserve stuff back then.
Yeah, they didn't preserve things.
Not a bad guess though for X-Files. I just had kind of a feeling.
Yeah, I was actually a little surprised about X-Files
because so many people wanted to believe.
Well, that's right. Well,
where's SG-1?
I wouldn't.
Don't you me?
It's not that good, dude.
Yes, it is.
Lies.
Wait. Did Carlos just say SG-1 isn't good?
Yes, I said it wasn't. It wasn't.
He said
that
it wasn't
good.
that
Okay, you're fired.
Sorry, I just.
But see, here's the thing: are we only doing SG-1, or are we doing the entire Stargate franchise?
You want a real hot take right here and now?
Yes, because you've got your Romulan fidget spinner.
Lane, cover your ears. I'll take
that Batman with
Bat
the scorpion mask?
No, that's Bat Lane.
No.
George would approve of
Get off
that.
the screen and never show it again.
Actually, that's Batman. You just know his alter ego, Bruce Lane.
Oh well, God. You are tired tonight.
That is no. Listen, that is Batman prepared for COVID.
I'll take that. I'll take that. Anyway,
guys'
Pokemon
face
aren't-
mask
Pokemon's
on.
aren't
goddamn
susceptible
thing
to
off the
COVID.
screen so I can do a hot take already. And
Okay, do
make
your hot
Carlos
take.
Hate me. I enjoy SG1 far more than the Next Generation.
That's not a hot take at all.
Oh,
Okay.
that is a very cold take.
That's not a,
Like
well, it's not,
frigid. It's a frigid take.
well, I agree with
sorry.
it.
Fired,
there's-
Travis.
I
fired.
definitely agree with it. So you're not alone.
I think in 20 years, very few people will be SG1 fans. And
Oh, bull.
In 20
Whereas-
years, nobody
whereas
even know what the hell
TNG
SG1 is unless he make a new series.
yeah, whereas TNG is for the ages. It's just going to last a lot
See,
longer.
I disagree. I think with Richard Dean Anderson, you have a timeless show.
Mhm.
I believe
That is
sequel
a
timeless.
brilliant.
Stargate MacGyver. But
I mean,
yeah, I
let's
just don't. I don't
let's
see
be
But
it.
let's be
honest.
clear. Let's be clear though. I think Raul was going to say it. Sequest is better than DS9 and TN, or better than
damn it,
SG1
Choose your
and
words
TNG.
carefully.
Yes,
Fosse.
absolutely.
You are crazy
God.
people.
damn it, Jason.
Nathan
No,
Bridger.
no one believes you.
Nathan Bridger is greater than Jean-Luc Picard.
Wrong and wrong. Thank
Yeah,
you.
tell him,
Justin.
Darwin.
I noticed.
Although I do
that-
think, what was the name of the kid on Lucas?
Wesley Jr.
Lucas is better than Wesley.
Wesley
Yes,
Jr.
I agree with that fully.
That's not a high
Yeah.
bar.
So was Trudy from The Facts of Life.
Oh no! Don't
Uh.
go there.
I
Damn it,
noticed,
Wesley.
I noticed that Babylon 5 isn't anywhere on this list.
That is
Exactly.
a very good.
It is not aged well. Sorry.
Falcon Punch!
Some of the
Not
episodes,
appropriate, Justin.
it's
shot.
not aged well graphically, but
Right.
the story of Babylon 5 is
I wouldn't
is-
disagree with that, but
is
you know,
relevant even today.
Speaking of not doing well graphic, oh my god.
I liked Nathan Bridger.
There's the
It's
man
just
himself.
he's no Jean-Luc Picard.
No, he's better
He certainly is. He
Oh
certainly
right, have they brought him back for his own series? I don't think so.
because he's
Dead.
dead.
Dead, Jim.
is. He's dead, Carlos.
That's a
You
Because no
And
one
there's
is
a
looking
reason
for
for
that.
that.
Fishes.
there's a
Carlos is
reason for
bad
that.
man.
Dead, or I would kill him.
And more
No one
importantly,
is looking to bring back Sequest.
That's right. They really aren't.
because you can't do it, because Nathan Bridger's
timeless
gone.
classics like Sequest.
They did a third
they never-
season
they
without
never
him.
fade.
that's because he didn't want to do it, because they were getting away from the more scientific
They're making it
sci-fi
like
nature
Star
and making
Trek.
it more
And
militaristic.
that's true because it was failing in its original
No.
premise.
Listen,
Like I said, there's
Yeah,
a reason I don't
Because
watch
they
past
went
the
away.
first
They started
season.
going away from the undersea sci-fi stuff and brought in fucking aliens
Aliens.
Aliens.
Travis, what were you,
Aliens.
Travis and Lane,
and
what were you saying?
abducted a submarine for no
Um,
reason.
Ross
dude, we
takes
took it
that
to
Other
a
than
water
blow it
planet,
up.
Ross.
Okay, hang on a second. Travis was going to say something.
I actually wouldn't be opposed to a Sequest revival, like reboot type of thing. If they can do
Yes.
it right, if they can do it in a way that captures the spirit of that first, season, and make their own spin on it, and give us something interesting, I think they could really give us something unique.
Shit,
But-
this might have a post-COVID The Love Boat reboot.
They
What
tried
if you
that.
could replace
Didn't
Darwin with a whale?
They
I
tried
could,
that and
I
didn't
could
work.
see a modern revival of Sequest, but go harder into the premise where ocean levels have
Yeah.
actually risen, where
Mhm.
coastlines and the major cities on the coast are all flooded, and people have migrated actually migrated into real, substantial surface and subsurface habitats.
Yeah, that's
That would
so
make it
cool.
interesting.
I would watch that. I would
So
watch
all those coastal megacities now have to deal with 40 and 50 feral
Well, they
hogs?
tried to do that in the season 2 sequence, with the oxygen.
Yes, except there was
whatnot,
there wasn't any understanding by the general public of climate change.
what was
back then.
going on. Yeah.
These
You know
days
what-
there is. It would make it.
You know what Disney hasn't rebooted yet? Flight of the Navigator.
Doesn't
No,
need to
I
be
hope
to do
they
that.
That's because it's perfection as it is.
They better not fucking touch Flight of the Navigator. We will riot.
Compliance.
But you could do a sequel.
Hush your mouth. Don't you give them no ideas.
I mean,
If
Paul
it's
Rubens,
announced
Paul
tomorrow that
Rubens
there's
is
a
literally
sequel,
still around to be the computer.
I mean, it's bad enough.
I know
there's
you
a
are, but let him on.
Starfighter sequel.
Who just did the Pee-wee impression?
That was Jason.
Jason, you do a good Pee-wee.
I know you do, but what
It's
am I?
him.
Okay,
Travis should make him an amend on his ship posting page.
we're going to move on to our next topic, which is a gaming topic. So you are going to get first run at this one, Ross, and that is the news that Amazon is canceling a massive multiplayer Lord of the Rings game. Number one, of course, I didn't even know they were going to do that, but that seems like a pretty big deal to me.
Nobody cared.
I care.
Amazon has been trying to break into the gaming scene for a while. It's one of the only shares of the market that they really don't have a side in. They're in the distribution side, but they aren't in the development and sales side. They don't make anything themselves. They 5 years ago, they started in one of their first big. They bought a bunch of studios and tried to make this esports game called Breakout. And I played a bit of it. It was fun. It was okay. But they, as a matter of fact, do I still have? Yeah. This is the promotional coin that they released for the game and gave out at TwitchCon 2015.
Huh.
I actually did a bit of research for this one because I was actually curious at how many games they canceled. And they have canceled a total of 5. One they didn't even name.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they had 2 games at first, Nova and Intensity. Nobody knows what they were. They just know they were in existence and they canceled them. They didn't say why. They just kind of slid them under the rug. Then they had Breakaway, which was it was a team-based shooter. And I guess development was 95% done before they canned it. And then Crucible.
It was a sport game where 2 teams toss a ball at each other and try and get it into a goal.
Sure, it was a character shooter.
And yes, there were shooting elements.
And
my favorite was the last one they did called Crucible, which YouTubers who actually reviewed this thing in beta said, I don't even know what this is because it's a third-person shooter, MOBA, and Battle Royale all in one, which is just sounds horrendous. And I guess there was no marketing for this game. It's completely done, and Amazon was like, okay, no one's playing this game, just cancel it.
well,
They canceled it when it already came out because no one was playing it.
Sounds like Sony Game Division. Too.
It sounds about right.
It was actually they released it and then they pulled it back into beta, from what I remember, and they kept it there, and they were working on it and trying to overhaul it, and then they pulled the plug.
What's sad is it's Amazon pulling out their products in like a back alleyway and putting them out of their misery. And
Well, it's like
it's
like there's so-called Luna streaming service. I don't know if anyone's looked at that.
In this particular instance, though, Amazon had partnered with Tencent to produce.
Oh, God.
Apparently, they came into some kind of conflict in their contract negotiations, and that's why they.
It's not surprising considering who it was.
Yeah, well, Tencent, it makes sense because Tencent is the biggest gaming company on the planet. And they are trying to get their fingers into everything. If you look up all the companies invested into or have active investments in, they touch just about everything. But as such, they have a lot of say in what is developed, which is a concern to a lot of people who game or are developers and publishers and everything else. So
I'd say anyone who can afford to buy Tencent, it's going to be Amazon. They're going to be the ones who are going to be able to afford a company like that.
God, I hope not.
They basically fart and coins come out at this point. I mean, Amazon is just too wealthy for their own good. And I think that's why they don't even care that these games get canceled. It's like, oh, we spent $40 million in production here? Nah.
It's like, they got a gaming, cloud gaming platform.
Toilet paper. We'll be fine.
Sony spent $200 million developing EverQuest Next to cancel it on the eve of 90%.
I remember that.
I remember that.
So it's not a surprise that they finally canceled this, especially considering there's already a Lord of the Rings MMO out there, Lord of the Rings Online, that is an older game but is still quite popular and still played to this day. And MMOs in general, their heyday has long since passed. The World of Warcraft is over 15 years old, and it's the juggernaut that everyone tried to kill that nobody did. So trying to release a new MMO today is not the most profitable venture.
Releasing a standard MMO is not profitable. You'll find that most looter shooter MMOs succeed.
Well, we're talking about a MMO. This was an MMORPG.
Yeah, but here's the question, though. Like, if they've already had an MMO like this, you would have thought they would have got something fresh. Something that's... I'm not going to say Lord of the Rings isn't relevant, because obviously that's not true. But I'm just saying, like, I would have thought you would have got something more modern fitting the time.
What probably happened is that they were trying to build this game to tie into their Lord of the Rings TV series,
and Tencent
but then couldn't find something that worked. Trying to do the similar thing to what was the name of the show on the game? Started with a D, I think.
DV something.
Because I was going to say that the Shadow of Mordor games are actually fantastic.
Not Divergence. Defiance. Yes. Defiance was an MMO that was supposed to run concurrently with the TV series. It was a novel idea, and it failed miserably.
Terrible. Please don't go back and play it. I actually got a physical copy of it, believe it or not.
Wow.
I bought it from GameStop like an idiot.
But to be fair, the MMORPG space is still very desired amongst older gamers. And there is a game coming out called Ashes of Creation, which I believe will top the scales of MMO, and will do a lot of what people have been expecting for years and have only seen failures. This will top it.
I will put a prediction out there for Amazon. I'm going to put this out here now. I think they're going to try and make an Apple Arcade ripoff on their own app.
They're already doing the cloud
That's exactly what they're going to do.
They're already doing Amazon Luna. They're trying to do the cloud gaming thing, which is all a very basic game.
My guess is that it's not going to come.
It's not going to stick around.
They'll get 95% through development and then put it out of its misery.
They want you to buy their controller, which is just a basic Bluetooth controller that you can get off of Amazon already, and it's just not worth it.
Or they're going to try something like Stadia did.
Well, we know what happened to that.
Stadia, please.
Even I know what happened to that.
Surprisingly,
there was a video put out on YouTube not too long ago by a YouTuber called the Act Man, and it was basically about failed video game consoles, and he did cover Google Stadia. And he, at the very beginning of this video, he actually threw out some numbers that are actually quite shocking when it comes to the gaming market. And it very much highlights just how very brutal the gaming market is and how hard it is to find true success in the gaming market. He threw out some numbers like only 20% of all video games released in a year turn up a profit, and I think there was a
I watched that video. The Ouya.
Yes, the Ouya.
The Ouya. I have an Ouya somewhere.
To be honest, though, the reason there's still competition in the market is because it has topped Hollywood as the #1 entertainment industry. Gaming has. So if we're not paying attention to gaming, you're not paying attention to the future.
And the indie games market is It's quite a vibrant place.
Quite viable.
Well, I mean, come on now.
and
Fortnite's
yet, if
making
you
their own
listen to-
cinematic universe within their own game, apparently.
Ooh.
Every franchise known to mankind.
If
It's
you
the most
listen to
popular game out there.
Hollywood, video games still cause violence.
And there's
I think
studies
those are boomers.
to go against that, but
Son, I think those are boomers who don't know neither the industry nor any children left. Yeah, I know.
Okay, well, we're going to move on to our next one, and this is a topic that we actually started hotly debating before the show even started, and that was the news that they're now starting to add product placements to old classic films. So, like adding these commercial aspects that never were a part of this film, and that is the kind of I've not seen this kind of reaction since they started colorizing black and white films back in the 80s. So how do we feel about that?
I know how California Raisins feels. They'll finally get the product placement they wanted out of Back to the Future.
Go ahead,
I
Travis.
take issue with this, not in a commercial sense, but I'm part of numerous art communities, and there is a lot of frowning upon of people who will take other people's art and do like edits or modifications, or they'll color in like this sketch that someone did without permission or whatnot. And I very much feel like that's exactly what is happening here. It's not even the fact that they're putting in products. It's that they are tampering with a piece of art that is not theirs to tamper with. They are just making unnecessary changes for it very much is just, someone taking something and making their own change to it, and they have
It's like that god awful restoration of Jesus Christ.
Now I do have a question. In terms of preservation, what are they going to do with the original films, though? Like, I know they're going to edit them, but are they going to actually preserve them, or is this going to be like the new canon for those films?
I'm sure they'll preserve it.
Because that's what I'm wondering is, like, in terms of preservation, what happens if those old, like, some accident happens and all we got is the new? Like, that's kind of like a rewrite of history, in my opinion, and I'm not sure I like that.
Yeah, but to be honest, let me put on a hot take. It's the medium you're dealing with. As long as you're dealing with digital, mutable media, you're gonna have changes, according to who is in control of the property.
Here's my. Go ahead, finish, Raul.
When I put out a book, the book in solid form remains the same, but the author at any time can go into the Amazon library and change the text version to whatever he wants, and change the entire story, put in different characters, whatever he wants. But the physical form remains the same for a book. And the medium that we're talking about now is all digitized media. It is subject to mutation.
Here's my issue with this. We're not talking about the director or producer or actors going in to add something or take something away or to enhance their vision to what has been put out. We're talking about a distributor, the BBC in this case, or presumably Disney or Warner Brothers or whomever, going in and placing advertisements in older films.
But you have to admit that would be the owner of those properties if it's Disney, especially if it's Disney.
But that's the difference in what we're talking about. What Raul is arguing for is a creator going in and changing their work to either better put out the ideas they're trying to come across or to enhance the art. what we're seeing here with what's the BBC is talking about is monetizing something for the current day with something that was created years and years ago. And that I take issue with. Or trying to further monetize something. Changing something so that it becomes profitable again, or at least bringing in some form of new revenue. That doesn't sit well with me.
They've learned a thing or two from video games.
No.
Well, that's the whole point, though. I think at the end of the day, when they're trying to make money off something, don't forget, like, marketing, for as innocent as it seems, you can give a film a whole different context with something as stupid as an advertisement. I know that sounds like really harshly, like, just over the top, but I mean, think about it. When these directors made these old films, do you think that they wanted some property from like 2020, like, coming in and just like basically becoming like an eyesore on their original vision? Like, it's going to be so distracting to watch an old film and there's freaking Pepsi Man running around in the background. No offense, but I'm not interested in that. I think it's degrading, if anything, to
digitally replacing a DeLorean TMC-12 with a Dodge Charger.
But that's what I'm saying. They put these directors and these producers and these writers, they put their hearts and souls into it. Imagine if you like had a director that passed away and they're just inserting like easy cash grabs and things that they put all this time and effort into. It's kind of just corporate disgust. It's really gross.
Imagine going back to watch Citizen Kane, and in his big campaign speech where he's talking about bringing out a special prosecutor to prosecute and execute boss Jim W. Geddes, and there's a big Pepsi logo behind him where there was none before. It feels insidious and almost
just like the Federation.
It feels dystopian to me.
And the worst thing about it too is that they're trying to do it sneakily, which almost makes it worse that it's not right in your face in the beginning of the movie. The fact that they're trying to hide it, like, oh, did you spot that? Did you spot that? We got paid for that. Like, it's so stupid. Like, I don't even know why they thought like people would be okay with this, because it's like you said, it's insidious. It's just gross to even think about. Like, I know that film by itself is, well, there's advertisements before movies. That's a little bit different though, because that's not just funding the companies that are making these movies, but the places that are playing them.
I got one. Starship Troopers. All the microphones for the reporters in Starship Troopers have been digitally replaced with the newest line of Hitachi massage wands.
or they suddenly become blue microphones. That's a funny one, son. That's gonna be stuck in my head. But yeah, it's changing a work not based on the author or even enhancing the art. It's purely for money. That's all it's for.
It's interesting to me
that doesn't sit right with me.
There are actually some science fiction movies that have made a parody of this concept. I'm thinking of Blade Runner,
Josie and the Pussycats.
Mm-hmm. Not a science fiction movie.
Yeah, but it actively made fun of the fact that they took product placement movie and product placement garbage, and then they displayed it prominently like it was part of the plot. It was hilarious.
Yeah. The other movie that did that was Minority Report. Remember when he's walking through like the mall and they have those targeted ads that like only you can see and hear them as you're walking by, because they do like and I thought that was kind of interesting. It's like,
I need to watch that movie again.
This is becoming the real world. There's so much. Minority Report, which is interesting. It got fair to middling reviews when it came out, but I think that it has been a very prescient movie.
It's been the most accurate of what our future is going to be.
Yeah,
that's Philip K. Dick, and he was an amazing
Well,
progenitor of
both
of
these movies
Trends.
were Philip K. Dick.
I am
What?
going to.
Blade Runner and
Yes, both
Yeah.
of those.
yeah, not Spaceballs.
Not
I think,
Spaceballs.
They had
I,
product placement.
I think it needs to be said, though. Like, here's where it's going to come down to where there's going to be an even bigger line drawn than there already is. Say they run with this, right? They start putting ads in movies and stuff. What option are these companies like Amazon and iTunes are going to give you to buy? Are they going to give you the option to buy the original? Is it going to be more expensive? How much are they going to be getting in revenue each time you watch this film? Like, that's going to be the questions that are going to be presented. Like, because these companies could say, oh, I'm sorry, we don't have access to the original anymore. Please buy the version that gets us paid. And it's going to be an eyesore every time you want to watch something classic, and it's right there.
Or they just don't.
Like, I think that'd be so distracting to watch some movie that you know for a fact the advertisement is not there. And then when you see it, it's going to distract you the whole time.
Or they'll just do an overlay. They'll just do it through your device and just overlay it while,
That makes
Whatever.
it even more obvious.
well, I mean, they don't care. All they want to do is make money. So they're going to do whatever they want to do and get by with it because we
They
allow
did
it.
this in sports games not too long ago. They didn't even tell anyone. They were just they hit it in an update. People were like, wait a minute, are these TV advertisements in the middle of my match? I paid $60 for this. What are you doing? And it feels like that. It's so scummy. It just really is. Like, no matter how they try to explain it, it just feels so evil.
All right. Well, I think on that hot take, not really hot take, I think
we can't deny that would be kind of cool to be watching old reruns of Bewitched and have new advertisements in black and white on their TV.
Futurama, they're gonna start putting ads in your dreams.
If you think about it, we just saw that in WandaVision actually with the ads between the episodes.
Yeah. Although
Except
those were
all
were
allegories
meta.
to trauma.
Yeah.
Those were all
Yeah, but
metaphors
I'm
for
saying,
trauma.
But I'm just saying, like, we're seeing this more and more. Like, the dystopian reality that we see, it's starting to come to fruition.
Okay, well, on that note, then we will move into our final segment of the show, and that is our weekly "What Are We Watching" segment. Let's keep it short because we're at past 2.5 hours.
Whose fault is that, Carlos?
And a reminder to the folks at home that following the final segment and the formal close of the show, we will do our traditional after show segment of our Florida Man segment, which exactly. So stick around for that with us after we hear what we've been watching this week, and we will start this week with Travis and Lane.
You will you?
Yes, we will.
Well, aside from finally resuming Breaking Bad after weeks of, being on hiatus, this week on Disney Roulette, we pulled a real winner. Like, this one was super, super fun to revisit. It is actually one that is very special to me in terms of my childhood and growing up because it was one that I watched quite a bit. We watched The Rescuers, the very first one. And, like, watching it again, like, just listening to, like, hearing the music, seeing, like, the canvas backgrounds, I was like, God, this movie is just, like, I know, like, The Rescuers Down Under is a better story and, more liked by most people, but The Rescuers feels like such an unappreciated gem. There is so much fun in this movie. There's so much to just really take in and just appreciate.
Plus, it takes place in like Creole, Louisiana.
It's super. Like, it is one of the underrated Disney movies out there. And yeah, it has its flaws. Yeah, the sequel is better in terms of quality. But this one still very much a special place in my heart.
Yeah,
The Rescuers. Go ahead.
if there were two animated movies from Disney that actually needed live action adaptations, it's The Rescuers and The Great Mouse Detective.
Oh no, those need to stay animated. Period. Those need to stay animated. Please don't listen to that, Disney. Please don't listen to that.
Listen to it.
No,
That could be a
I
winner.
would much rather
Do it.
see the children of the rescuers taking their parents' place
Ooh, that's a good idea.
in the modern day.
Actually, one of my best friends from high school, Chris Sanders, who created Lilo and Stitch, worked on the Rescuers Down Under. He was one of the characters designers for it, and also for The Great Mouse Detective. And here's a little bit of trivia. One of the characters in The Great Mouse Detective, he based on his older brother, Frank, who he had this very bushy monobrow, and he was brilliant, and he was like a super nerd, but we all worshipped him because he was just so smart. And so he based one of the characters in Great Mouse Detective on his brother, Frank.
See, look at Carlos with all these fucking bragging rights for our childhood.
So the really creepy person was based off of you then, right?
No, unfortunately, I don't think he's based anything on me, so sorry.
Not even
That you know of.
Oh, well, that I know of, but I'm sure he would have told me.
That you know of.
Yeah, I usually see him whenever I go to Comic-Con. We catch up. Okay, so let's go next to Raul the Baul.
Hey. Okay, so I haven't been here in a few weeks, and I'm sure everybody's annoyed. So I'll keep it nice and brief. I basically have been using these weeks that I've been off to catch up with Cobra Kai, and it has literally been an addiction. It's been so sticky on my mind, and I can't wait for season 4. Kreese is such a delicious villain. Every villain should be this delicious.
Well, in season 3, they really deepened him as a character.
They did. He was interesting.
And I thought that was a really great take on him. Awesome. So you're ready for season 4. I think we all are. Does anyone remember when they've announced that's going to be coming out?
No.
I hope it's soon. We had to wait so long for the third season.
I'm dying to see this is the last installment, I think, of the story, and I think it's important to finish it.
Oh, they'll finish it. It's done really well on Netflix.
Yes, it's absolutely done really well.
They'll finish it or they'll make a spinoff.
No official release date. They just said 2021, though, for sure.
Oh, okay. Well,
So,
as long as it's sometime this calendar.
so, yeah.
I've been amazed to see all the original characters from all the original Karate Kid movies and all the spin-offs kind of come back into the show and wander back into the show and react to the characters as they are now. And the Daniel as the bully meme is fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah.
And actually, you get more context in the situation in the movies, which I appreciate.
Yeah, absolutely.
Indeed. All right. Thank you, Mr. Baul. Let us move to the Eyebrows of Doom. Any cars with faces this week, Ross?
So first,
I
want to show this bad boy off.
Ooh.
This
Did you
is
make
the
that with
Satan
your-
shard of the Nightbringer for my Necron army.
Uh-huh.
Wow, that looks
I built it and primed it over the week. It's going to be a lot of fun to paint. It is such an awesome looking model that I absolutely had to show it off.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
Well, yeah, is it as fragile as it looks? It looks like if you
Not
just
really. No,
hit it the
it's
wrong-
pretty sturdy.
Oh,
I mean,
good.
You don't want to give it any direct blows. It's not going to fall apart on you. But it was a little finicky to assemble, especially some of the body pieces because the plastic was very thin in that area. But
Well,
I love the little
update us-
details on this thing, like the robot on its back that's controlling it.
Oh, wow.
It looks great. Now put a Pepsi logo on it.
No.
I think it's a big no on that one. Give us an update, Ross, on...
This week, I've been deep into YouTube and rewatching gameplay videos of the Monkey Island series.
It's a good game.
It's such a fun series. The the voice actor who plays the lead character, Guybrush Threepwood, does such an excellent job with it. He's a food critic now, if you want a bit of trivia. But it's such a fun series with such a wonderful sense of humor and satire of just about everything. I was finishing up the last episode of the Telltale series that came out in 2009, and it's been such a fun nostalgia trip, going back to my early years of gaming back when I was in high school up to the last decade, and it's been a lot of fun.
What year did you graduate from high school, Ross?
2003.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like everybody in the room. Oh yeah.
And who could possibly forget the insult sword fighting? You fight like a dairy farmer. Oh, how appropriate. You fight like a cow.
That was funny.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Ross. Let's move to our resident contrarian, Sunseal. What occupied your time, your screen time this week?
So, like season 9 of SG1 is really good, like really good, and that's even without Richard Dean Anderson being there. It's really
Yeah,
good.
but this one has all been replaced by a former Farscape cast.
I still
I
need to
didn't hear a
finish.
word you said, Justin.
I say by this time they've all been replaced by former Farscape cast members.
No, they haven't. Daniel's still there. Samantha's still there. Teal'c's still there.
Didn't that happen in Atlantis though? What he's talking about?
Maybe.
They did do a lot of cast changes in Atlantis.
Yeah, I
Maybe.
remember.
At this point, Woolsey's still kind of head of all the things of the independent organization for SG1, but I know he takes leadership of Atlantis at some point.
Season 5.
So yeah, no, season 9. I just rolled over into season 10, the last season of SG1, and so far everything's been really good because they're building on the Arthurian legends, because Merlin is apparently an ancient, and they need Merlin's technology to fight the Ori, which are ancients from another galaxy with a completely different set of beliefs, and they want to destroy everyone in this galaxy.
Yay!
That's been a thing. I actually want to talk about some COD news, like you were talking about going to see your friend at a convention.
Mhm.
So anime conventions, quit bringing Vic Mignogna on just to let him go. Stop it. I would turn around and have a clause in my contract that if you got rid of me just days after announcing me, or at any point after announcing me, I would take all of the fees for me coming to your convention. Just straight up.
Well, I can't imagine any worse blow he could deliver to his own career. You know, it's sort of a crapshoot for him these days with, because in some venues with some cons, people don't care about the allegations against him. So, but in others, of course, they do. So, but it would be a poison pill for him to put, demand something like that in his contract.
If I'm going to look, I don't care if me personally, I wouldn't care if it's a poison pill or not. If you're going to do business with me, do business with me. If you're going to give me the money for coming out there and make me change my schedule for coming out there, make time for coming out there, I'm coming out there, or I'm taking the money you were going to give me for coming out there. Because you've literally just made me have to change. Make me have to.
No,
change
I get why. I get why you would want to do that. I'm just saying that demanding that up front is not going to make you a very popular guest.
Vic's already not a popular guest.
Well, he is in some venues.
Vic's already not a popular guest among the other voice actors who always seem to get him canceled from these events.
Sure.
So having the clause means anybody who goes in now has the fine print that, if you announce me, you know what you're getting into.
Yeah, all I'm saying is they won't ever announce him under those conditions. They just won't.
I want to keep in mind what we are watching, not a debate on Vic Mignogna. Can we maybe table this for next week and maybe make it a topic then, so we don't run the show in 3 hours?
Care about it next week. We can move on. Okay, Reina, how about you?
I actually got into a few shows this week, but the two big ones that really stood out was the one called High Score, which is a limited time documentary on Netflix about the history of gaming. You guys should check it out. It's fantastic. They cover everything from the crash from E.T. on the Atari to like how it changed the landscape and everything. It's a really, 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 really good documentary. And also, I actually went back. I hadn't seen a Disney flick in a while called Atlantis, the Lost Empire. I hadn't seen it.
You need to go over to Travis and Lane's house.
Yeah, it was like
they'll bring you up to speed.
It like recommended it to me, and I was like, I hadn't seen it in like 15 years, and I'm wondering if it was still good. It's still one of the better ones that gets no love anymore.
Oh no, I think it's coming back. There's a lot of you hear buzz about it all the time.
It's good though. So Disney Plus, since I've gotten it, I've just like it keeps recommending me like, we know how old you are. You haven't seen this in how long? Now please watch this again. So I'm like, all right, fine, it's there. So
all right, awesome.
Good. Yeah.
Okay, Stalwart Justin.
Well, let me actually turn my microphone on so I can actually speak for a change, and we should get to go. All right. So this week I've been playing around with Dangerous. It's been going pretty good. Getting ready to get the alpha released in public domain at the end of the month. It goes live on the 30th, I do believe, which is really, really cool. So I've been spending the time upgrading my ship and trying to get everything ready to go for that eventual release date. I can get this load up in the port. I can't. Great. Hey. One of those days. Okay. Well, yeah, it's I'm actually really happy with the progress the game made. Other than that, pretty much covered what we were watching.
We can't understand you, Justin.
We covered pretty much what we were watching earlier on in the show with, the stuff that we covered. But so, other than that, I've been playing Elite Dangerous all week and trying to stay awake.
All right. Well, we're almost to the end, so keep it up. Okay,
so there's one thing you guys should all check out. So I don't know how this William guy did this, but there's a mashup of Eminem's "Lose Yourself," but it's Mr. Blue Sky. It's the lyrics for Eminem's "Lose Yourself" on the music track of Mr. Blue Sky. I don't know how it works, but it works, and I will link it to you guys because it's.
I was just gonna say, where is this?
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Insane. It's insane.
I got the picture to work. Yay!
Nice.
So there's that link. I put that in our private chat here.
All right.
Private chat.
Awesome.
By the way, Farscape fans, you'll know what this means on the side of the chat.
Look, if you had one shot, one
All right. We're gonna probably get a copyright claim there.
That's probably enough of that. Enough to get the point in. Yes, I see it. Okay, so for me,
mashups are fun.
What's that?
Mashups are fun.
Yes,
they
indeed.
are.
Definitely go and listen to the rest of it later. Holy crap. It shouldn't work, but it works.
Okay, folks, we need to wind up. So I'm going to do mine, and then we'll sign off for the show. So for me, watched a bunch of stuff, But what I really dived into this week was season 5 of Outlander, which I signed up for Starz, their 7-day preview for free. So I'm trying to cram all the episodes in inside one
We're
week.
gonna have to pay for another streaming service. Yeah,
Exactly. Exactly. So
Don't
I don't
make
want.
yourself sick.
Yeah. So far, I'm 8 episodes in, so I only have 5 more to go. In 3 days. Yeah, I think I can do it. Okay, so yeah, as you may know, Outlander is produced by a lot of the same people who produced Star Trek Deep Space Nine. Deep Space Nine, which of course, in my opinion, the best Star Trek series so far, and it's been good. I've watched all the other seasons back when I had a Starz subscription, but my cable company for some reason lost it. So I don't have Starz anymore. So if I want it, I have to pay extra for it, which of course I'm not going to do because I pay enough already. But really enjoying it. I love the way they deal with time travel and how the time travel infuses the show, but the show is also very kind of grounded historically. And it totally works. I think every season has one big kind of battle in it. So, there's enough violence to attract people who like that sort of thing, and lots of romance and time travel with the science fiction people. And it just has it all in one neat little package bundle. So if you haven't watched Outlander, the first 4 seasons are on Netflix, so you can binge them on Netflix. The most recent season is on Starz only, but of course, later on, it'll eventually be on Netflix if you're patient enough.
I'm not doing another streaming service right now. I've already used a free preview for Starz, so I can't do it again.
Raul?
I've met the writer, Diana Gabaldon. She's an absolute sweetheart and loves the fans, loves interacting with the fans.
I've read that. That's cool. She seems like a really great author. Like a nice.
She's alone by herself, if you can believe it. And she's one of the most successful novelists alive today, along with George R.R. Martin. And she was just alone. And so I started talking to her. She's really devoted to the fans, really sweet woman. Can't say enough good about her.
Oh, excellent. That's good to know.
Oh.
I have heard this similarly about her. Well, all right. We're at 3 hours, so thank you for sticking with us. We will, of course, be back next week. Same bat time, same bat channel, and check out some of the stuff we've been watching on your own, and let us know what you think of
that
them.
off the screen, Jay.
Otherwise, bye, Batlane, and we will move to so we'll say formally goodbye for the week, and we will move to our after show Florida Man segment in just a second here, as soon as we say goodbye to whoever is going to be leaving amongst my fellow hosts.
On the podcast. What do you mean? Are you Justin? You're killing the Lane vibe. I'm just saying.
And remember, you are loved and appreciated by just your being you.
And
yes.
Stay and neuter your plushie.
And wear your masks. And get vaccinated.
I'm getting out of here before you guys insult my Lane.
And train your plushies to use the litter box.
No, bye.
Bye, Travis and Lane.
Florida man shoots at people from his boat while yelling racial slurs, then makes cops wait 4 days before he comes ashore to surrender.
Oh, wow, really?
Well, started up targeting Florida man.
Wow, that's a strong start there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here's
That's
one.
not
South Florida man collects nearly 14,000 pounds of trash in 100 days, and this is like underwater trash.
Oh, that's a Florida hero story.
That's a feel good Florida man. We don't do that on the show.
Well, except it's like underwater, you guys. This guy's like.
Okay, Florida man.
I literally said that's a Florida hero story.
Yeah. I'm agreeing with you.
So
okay, what else we got?
Florida
woman
accused
wants
of choking-
custody. Florida woman wants custody of newborn to profit off selling shitty diapers.
How does that even work economically?
Fertilizer.
That links to a legal advice Reddit thread. Is there anything explicitly illegal about selling dirty diapers?
Fertilizer, poopy diapers.
Yeah, I can't believe I'm asking this either. I'm in a custody battle with my ex-wife for a 6-month-old child. She stopped caring after the first month, so I found it weird that she wanted custody and hired a private investigator. It turns out that there's a fetish involving dirty diapers, and she's selling them to a Facebook group.
I was going to say it's got to be a fetish.
As the buyer, and we have video evidence of this. This feels pretty fucked up, but I'm not sure if there's anything explicitly illegal about it. I can use this fact in my favor in the custody battle. Oh,
you can actually use the fact that she's seeking custody solely for monetization of the child. Period, as an against her.
Edit, the child itself appears to be well taken care of and is not in any danger.
Or what the fuck?
Yeah.
What the fuck? Or to get your shit together.
I would probably say Florida Japanese woman.
It doesn't specify.
Yeah, because
racial profiling.
I mean, that's not racial profiling. There are literally vending machines for dirty panties in Japan. It would not surprise me one fucking bit if it was the same for dirty diapers.
There are plenty of white men who are into it as well. Okay, so here's mine. Florida man who has been arrested more than 40 times on 142 separate charges was arrested again Thursday morning after barricading himself inside a hotel room for 12 hours in a standoff against police.
Arrested 42 times, but 43 is just fine, Florida man.
Florida woman accused of choking and biting an Uber driver.
Wow.
And the worst / best part is she looks like a Karen.
Wait, what? Why does that prompt her?
I missed the dancing part of the end of the show.
You did. I saw that you were.
I was starving. I apologize. I so apologize.
I always enjoy your little dance to our sign-off music, Raul. You can make up for it though by giving us a good Florida man story.
I don't have one.
No.
Here, I'll link you. I'll link you this one to report on it for yourself.
I don't need your pity news.
There you go, Raul.
Oh, my hold on. This is
oh, yes, I was literally looking at that, going, "Please, let Raul this would be the one Raul gets to tell."
Well, which one is it?
29-year-old Miami man. Oh Jesus Lord, was arrested Saturday afternoon after being allegedly found in possession of illegal lobster.
That sounds more like a Maine man. You're my main man. Okay. Florida men indicted for selling bleach as miracle COVID cure.
On the anniversary of the infamous bleach press conference.
Oh, really? That was the same. Wow. Last year. That was that long. Wow.
Florida woman injured when turtle crashes through her windshield.
Turtles don't usually do that.
Okay, really? Sorry. Sorry. I just had to do something. It distracted me for a second, but I'm here now.
Here's a nasty one. 2 Florida men officers arrested, accused of issuing citations to drivers they never pulled over.
Whoa. There you
I guess
go.
it's better than the alternative.
Defund the police, man. Okay. I think I had one here. Where did it go? Florida man arrested after attacking victim with ski pole.
Sounds like Florida.
Florida man.
Florida man.
Oh, what else are you going to do with people?
This
In
is
Florida.
kind of creepy. Ross, this lady kind of looks like Adrienne.
Oh no.
It says wanted Florida woman promising witchcraft services steals $100,000 from victims in Naples. They have like a drawing
Naples, you
of
have to
the lady.
understand is all the retirees from.
Hey, don't talk shit about witches. Seriously. I know a few. They are not to be fucked with.
Okay,
Two
here's
Florida man officers arrested, accused of issuing citations to drivers they never pulled over.
Son just read that one.
You did? Shit.
Yeah. Okay, here's one. Florida man in hospital gown hops fence at Miami airport and then arrested, of course. It's like, there
was a draft.
That's not a sight I would want to see on a runway.
Florida man.
It's a lot of cracked road, if you know what I mean.
Oh.
Yeah, very boo. I boo myself.
Okay, this one's great, you guys. Florida man seems to get butt injection during Zoom hearing.
What?
Oh, wow.
Is that the Botox thing?
It happened in a Miami courtroom or Miami court, and the hearing was conducted over Zoom. And apparently during the hearing, he got a butt injection. And I'm assuming that's with a needle. Thank you.
Did we talk about the perjury charge?
The what?
Perjury charge.
Perjury? No.
Florida man who runs 6th largest school district in the nation arrested on perjury charges.
Okay.
All right.
Florida man.
Florida man and Florida woman attempt to hold a wedding at a mansion they did not own.
That's classic.
Holy shit.
Okay, this one is remarkable only for how unremarkable it is. Florida man arrested after police chase.
Boring.
It's like, why is this news?
I boo Carlos.
Okay, so here's a little bit more context to Ross's story. Florida man and Florida woman attempt to wed at a $5.7 million mansion they thought vacant that they told friends was theirs. Unfortunately, the real owner showed up on the morning of the wedding.
Oh, that'll throw a
that has been awkward.
Okay, you guys, this one you're gonna love because we can combine this with our "What Are We Watching" segment one day. Edgar Ramirez to star in Florida Man Netflix hour-long series.
Oh yes,
about a struggling ex-cop forced to return to his home state of Florida.
Usually people are forced to return.
But coming up on Netflix, folks, your very own Florida Man series.
Yay!
He has power now.
Florida man accused of having an improvised explosive device on a boat blames voices in his head.
Depends on which voices, right?
Florida man.
It's like Blanche from the Golden Girls. You're okay.
But
I'm watching the video.
Florida man was homeless.
Is that a verb? Homeless?
Florida man was homeless. And then his viral video made him $10,000 overnight.
Oh, well, there you go.
Damn.
I wonder where you edit a video when you are homeless.
On your phone?
I guess on your phone. Yeah, I guess you can on your phone. Florida man films alligator's early morning stroll in Publix parking lot. Publix, of course, if you don't know, is a grocery store chain in Florida.
Holy shit, Andrew is still here.
Of course he is.
Mhm.
Andrew's one of our biggest
Andrew,
fans.
I say what I want about Blanche. She's a slut and I love her.
Oh, wow. Okay, you two, you, Andrew, get a room, all right? Get a room.
So I had to verify this one. I had to watch the video because it's funny, and I have to watch the video.
Send it to Justin.
Okay.
Can we actually play it without getting struck?
He should be. It's just security camera footage.
Oh.
Video. Florida woman spots quote unquote baby dinosaur running through yard.
I
Oh,
bet it was the same
God.
alligator that was in the Publix parking lot.
I don't know.
Hold on.
Justin's got to pull it up. Is that like this is someone's private security footage? So there it is, right there.
That is a
Damn,
fast gator.
Well, they're all
Whoa,
fast.
do it again. Do it again.
They run at 30 miles per hour.
God, it does look like a dinosaur.
Looks like a raptor.
Technically, it is a dinosaur, Carlos.
Okay, that was something.
That maybe we found the elusive chupacabra.
I'm actually curious about what that is on the back of his head.
It looks like like he's part of the Handmaid's Tale crew.
It does.
Looks like he's got his head in a bucket.
You never want to see Christian dinosaurs enforcing a misanthropy.
That's a bucket.
It does look like a bucket.
It is. Yeah, it does look like a paint bucket.
Wow. Run that again. Stalwart Justin. Interesting.
I okay.
Can you do it? Can you do it frame by frame?
I'll
watching
try.
this
See.
You can use your
Yeah, that looks like a bucket.
you can use your which keys is it? K and L?
Arrow key. Whoop. Oh, there you go.
There in the gear wheel. There should be a thing to slow down the video itself.
Yes. There you go.
There we go.
This is fascinating.
Today, in Florida.
Okay, so it's definitely got four legs running.
Yeah.
It looks.
It definitely looks like a bucket.
It looks
The
like
legs look like dog legs, though.
It looks like a large breed of dog, but I've never seen a large breed of dog with a tail like that, unless that's just the motion of the dog against the capture.
It could be a pit bull.
The capture
I
of
think
the
it's a
camera.
paint sniffer.
It could be a pit bull.
Sniffer.
He's probably high from sniffing paint. Wow. Okay, that wins for most interesting Florida man story, Florida dinosaur story of the week.
Florida. Oh, we lost Sun.
Oh no!
Oh no!
After delivering that wonderful Florida man story, unfair.
She left in a flourish.
So here's one that continues that's part of our continuing series of Florida men go bad in different states. This one from Hawaii. Florida man arrested on Maui for alleged quarantine violation. And then after he's arrested, he agrees to leave.
Carlos,
Okay, I'll go.
look what Andrew put down.
George. When he feels like it, Andrew, not hit. There you go. Thank you.
Florida man ran a repair shop where he stole parts off boats and replaced them with car parts.
There you go. That's a good Florida man story.
That's a typical Florida man ingenuity.
Apparently, mating season in Florida is heating up for alligators. As a Florida man, I guess, videotaped 2 alligators getting to know each other.
Florida. Okay, so I don't know if I don't know how long I've been gone. Florida man dives into pond after threatening to set woman's house on fire.
That's what I would do right after.
It depends. Is it a koi pond? You know.
Is it a koi pond?
No, it's not a koi pond.
Then I don't know if I would dive into it. It's just not dramatic enough. That's a joke. I would dive into it. Hey, they're not all gems, Justin.
Look at this, you guys. Manatee visit to Panama City Beach Pier caught on video. Manatee.
Yay.
Florida man.
Florida manatee.
Why do you have to be so sexist, Carlos?
The Monkey Island rewatch I mentioned in one of the latest games, one of the episodes, Guybrush's ships gets swallowed by a giant manatee. And in order to claim the MacGuffin that he's looking for, he has to hook up a boy manatee with a giant murderous female manatee, Cyrano de Bergerac style.
Andrew.
Wow.
Andrew.
Yeah. Oh, Andrew. I only take that shit from David O'Neill.
And that's super.
It's becoming its own meme now, though, Carlos. It's becoming unstoppable.
Like John ran with it, now everybody does it.
It's funny because it started off as this in joke on my first on the set of my first movie 10 years ago. It's just sort of it's all over now.
Okay, here's one that I'm not sure if we covered. Maybe we've covered this before, but it's updated because charges have been filed. Florida woman sent her jailed husband videos threatening to kill Kamala Harris, was charged after Secret Service intercepted them.
Smart, very smart.
Okay, Florida dumbass.
I'm going to send criminal threats to a prisoner because they don't monitor the mail. Smart.
That's what I said.
Here's one again.
Sounds about like a Trump supporter.
Why is this news? Florida man tumbles into wheelie bin during garden cleanup. He forgot to close the lid of his wheelie bin as he was cleaning his garden, then tumbled into it while tending to his plants.
Oh, no.
Oh, and I have our biblical Florida man story for the week.
Oh, yes. Give it to us.
Florida man given designer coat. 11 siblings promptly sell him to human trafficking ring in retribution.
That's
You know what's
That is
sad?
excellent.
You know what's sad? It fits so well with the Bible. Every single one. Every single one. It fits perfectly. With a Florida man twist. That's scary.
Yeah, I like that.
Or it's prophecy. What is it?
Yes, it was foretold.
Foretold by Florida man.
Bible is actually a bunch of Florida man. Oh God, wouldn't that be the day?
Wow, more and more Florida men are being arrested for being part of the insurrection. Like every week, there's more.
Thieves in church are scared off after Florida man flips the tables.
Oh, that's funny.
It took you a moment to get that one, didn't it?
It did, actually. But then it hit like a ton of bricks. Oh, that was great. That was good. I have to say, discovering the biblical Florida man stories is a high point in our entire Florida man series.
Wait, here's a better one. Florida man claims wife is a virgin. 3 men arrive at birth with gifts.
Oh my God!
Oh my God, that's terrible.
We're going to hell for that. Wow,
That is just excellent.
Uh-oh.
Florida
That's
children mauled alive by bears after laughing at balding priest.
That one I don't get. Or is that an actual story?
No. That's a. It's in here several times. That was just the funniest. I have to find one of the other ones to find it to remember what story it is.
Andrew's correct. The Facebook algorithm now alerts people.
It does.
When
It really does.
David O'Neill and I call one another fat.
Every time.
Yeah.
I'll get a little notification popped up saying David O'Neill has replied to Carlos Pedraza's post. And then you go in, it's usually David O'Neill calling Carlos fat 99.9% of the time.
And the notification that pops up on your phone says, you may want to know that Carlos Pedraza called David O'Neill fat. That's how it reads, the notification from Facebook. You may want to know.
Here's one. Florida man takes 40 years to finish 11-day journey. Claims to have split the sea and walked through it. Also claims to have eaten food that rained down from heaven.
That's funny.
That one I got. I don't get the bear one yet.
That's it?
It sounds like that's it for Florida man this week, folks.
Oh, that one's pretty dark. Okay. Florida man accused of healing the sick, feeding the poor, and teaching about basic human kindness, sentenced to death by local government.
That's actually true. So
that one is very on the nose.
Yeah, and yet hilarious.
One final actual Florida woman who coughed on cancer patient gets 30 days in jail.
I think we covered that.
Yeah, we covered that one last week. Yeah,
last week.
She'd finally gotten sentenced.
Yeah, you were unfortunately not with us.
You were in hell.
That one's 6 days ago. So yeah, I think that's it for Florida man.
Yeah, that's it for me.
I don't know this story, but I don't know this story of the Bible, but this is hilarious. Florida man accidentally marries ugly sister, immediately suggests open marriage with the hot sister too. Florida father-in-law agrees to plan.
That is Abraham or Jacob, one of them. He married Leah, the ugly sister, when he really wanted to marry. Was it Sarah, the cute sister?
I have
that was Joseph.
Carlos leading us into Bible study. I just
what I know my Bible.
I thought it was Sarah and Esther.
No, Leah is definitely the ugly one.
Poor Leah's everywhere.
No, we did not, Andrew.
It was
we did not ask for it.
It was Rachel and Leah. Yeah, and Jacob. Jacob wanted to marry Rachel, but because Leah was older, he had to marry Leah first. And then God said it's okay to have more than one wife, so go for it, dude. And then he got to marry Rachel. She gave birth to 6 of Jacob's sons.
So
and of course,
there's not much wrong with there.
Yeah. So there you have it, Leah.
And a little Bible study for you all.
That's right.
Very fascinating.
happy to point that one out. I still don't get the bear one though. That one.
I am looking for that one because it's in here a couple of times.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Well, you can update us on that next week. And
2 hours, 37 minutes, and I'm fading.
Okay. Yes, I'm amazed you've made it this far, Justin. So thank you for everything.
I've a few times. I'm not going to lie.
So let's just say it. Keyboard Cat, play us out. There we go. That's the dance I wanted, Raul.
And it would help if I